The auto pen doesn't count.
The auto pen, you know they dropped that investigation because it was complete and total right? Do you acknowledge that you are to believe that Biden was signing an executive order via auto pen? And then we brought in Trump, and then he basically went to war with Iran twice.
Yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. That's not in America's interest. So that's why I think he's possibly being blackmailed. Like, bro,
maybe he's just a president and you're for voting for him. Is that possible? Are you for open borders or mass migration?
No, I'm not. No.
Why?
Because these people from these other countries will ruin America.
When you say ruin America, because they have different values, right?
Different
Why is it that when
values,
Republicans talk about healthcare, you
education.
guys sound like you have the values of like an African warlord?
You guys want to get drunk every weekend and get mad when the taxes go up or when this happens. You guys don't do
You're in one of the highest tax states in the country. What are you talking about? People are mad
and
about
what
the
do you
taxes
do
here.
every weekend? Help your own people.
So,
Okay.
all right.
No, don't leave.
Right,
come
brave.
back.
All right. Destiny, you have been accused of talking to 17-year-old girls on the internet. Your son is apparently a who has condemned you publicly. You were not famous for much of anything before JonTron, and then you went on to Adam 22, debated Nick Fuentes, and after joining with a man who spent his career exploiting the black-on-black violence and gangsterism in LA and black communities, you now are telling me that you want to unfuck America. It seems to me that you've never been pictured with a woman who doesn't look up to you because you might be intimidated by a woman's intelligence. Why should I trust you? Why should I trust you to care about Latinos if I can't trust you with your own son?
Okay, so a lot of things going on here. So the difference between my court case and Trump, who was convicted or held liable for rape or whatever, is that I'm winning my court case. Okay, you're always welcome to read through my documents. I do not talk to 17-year-olds, except for when I was 17 and I dated one in high school. But you're welcome to dig through that on your own. Number two, I'm not going to sit here and answer for or defend or attack my 14-year-old son's tweets online. If you want, you're welcome to go and debate him or argue with anything. But yeah, I mean, like he's on his own little political journey. We chat. I don't know if you imagine that a parent can make his child copy his political views and take these online and do these one-for-one verbatim. Generally, this is not how it works. If he's 18 and he's still a Nazi, you can come and talk to me. I don't think he's a neo-Nazi right now. I think he's just very edgy on the internet. And then what was your last thing? What does this have to do with Latinos?
Why should Latinos trust you to care about us and not just do this for the internet so you can talk to girls? Why?
I just don't really see.
Why should I trust you over any other white person that has come into my neighborhoods?
He has Latino friends. I'm right here.
Why? Why should we trust you guys?
Born in Mexico, you know?
Americans want to know why it was so easy for the Democratic Party to open up migrant shelters in New York and they can't run a homeless shelter. Why? Why should we give you that much power? Why should we
I think
give
these are two very different types of
and
problems.
It seems to me that you want my problem with a lot of so-called leftists in this country is that they want me to condemn the United States. Great. The moment I condemn you, do you really hate Trump, or do you need me to hate him alongside of you so that you can convince me that you're moral and give you some kind of power over me in my life?
Okay, I don't know what kind of demons you're boxing in your free time or in the shadows or whatever, but when it comes to like doing a political analysis and figuring out who's going to make your life better, who's going to do what for you, firstly, I'm never going to hear moral grandstanding from people that supported the grab him by the pussy guy. I just think that's insane to me.
I didn't say I supported him.
Number one.
I said,
number
why
two.
should I support you?
Number two. Well, you have to support one side or the other. It's a two-party system, right? That's how it works in big boy world. You can shake your head all you want, but at the end of the day, you're either voting for the Democrats or the Republicans, or your vote just doesn't matter. That's just how it works in our system. If you're mad about that, go cry somewhere else about it. Look prospectively.
Malcolm X had no value then. Malcolm X, who said we should take care of our own communities, we should become self-determined.
I'm sorry, did Malcolm X run third party for president that we had the opportunity to vote for? What does that have to do?
Because I'm
with
saying,
anything?
what moral qualities do you have that make you? Why should I think that you're going to
working
unfuck
there.
America?
I'm trying to respond. You had a whole bunch of stuff that you were excited to
okay.
read off your Wikipedia article about me. Okay, don't worry, I'm getting there.
Okay, dude.
So we can go back and we can look at the presidents that were elected, and we can see if we feel like they delivered for the American people in any way, size, shape, or form. We can go back to Bush, and we can see that we got quagmired into two decades-long wars, basically, in the Middle East. We can see all of the fallout that came from that.
And Bill Clinton destroyed the middle class, too.
All of the spending from that. Okay. all of the downstream negative effects. And when Bush left office, he left Obama with the global financial meltdown, basically.
I think Obama did very well, and he's not representative of the Democratic Party.
I think that's great that you can say that, but he was an insanely popular politician who managed to get us the Affordable Care Act, which didn't go as far as a lot of people, me included, would have wanted it to go, but it was a step ideally in a good direction.
And you're not Obama.
Did you just say that Obama?
Well, he's diverting. Don't let him. Hold on.
Did you
Real
say
quick. Wait, let me catch up to moderator. Then you can. Yeah. Okay.
You're not Obama.
Secondly, when
Who
the
are you to
Republicans
unfuck
came
America?
in, their first goal under Trump was to destroy the ACA. I don't remember Trump delivering anything substantial for the American people in 4 years, other than deficit spending, incentivized tax cuts. He cut everybody's taxes to run up the deficit, which was the one thing that Republicans said they didn't want to do. And then he left us with a nation in crisis for COVID. Then Biden had to come in. He had to clean that up. He had to create millions of jobs. He had to bring us back from the brink of not only COVID, but also the weird energy kind of like supply shock that happened 2 years after COVID, also because of the starting of the war in Ukraine, also because of the starting of the war in Israel. And then, but despite that, we got monumental funding with things like energy, monumental funding for things like infrastructure. We finally had an IRS that was going to be staffed with enough people to do things to enforce our actual tax code. We had prosecutions of criminals across the country. The government was running more or less well. Now Trump has come in again. Now we've got. I just filled up my car for now. This is in this is in Florida even for $5.20 a gallon, which is insane to me. Okay, and we're going to war with every country on the planet. We're abducting leaders. I don't see where any of the improvements for the average American are. Like, so you ask me, like, where is the moral authority from the Democratic Party? I guess
say
to run
from
the country.
Democratic Party. I said from you.
Okay, I will give you that argument. Don't vote for me. I guess I'm not running for office. Like, what do you want me to say? What?
We're advocating for a better government, not a better destiny.
Why can the Democratic Party run a migrant shelter? It can't run a homeless shelter.
These are two totally. These are two completely.
What is wrong with that? What is hard? That's the question actual Americans want to know. And you're gonna sit here and
I remember. Yeah, the exit polling said when everybody voted for Trump and they walked out of the voting place, they said, "I just can't believe the Democrats can run a migrant shelter and not a homeless shelter." That was
everyone
the biggest issue.
feels that way. That's what people really feel. And I think it's crazy.
You think that's what people are feeling right now?
The two places that you're talking
still
about that
true,
have the
dude.
most homeless people and the most migrant shelters are all super blue states. So I don't even know what point you think you're
go to
proving
Skid
here.
Row. It gets worse every year. Black Americans are not happy
it's
with the
not.
situation on the border
No,
across the
California.
country because they're saying, how is it possible that we struck for years in Harlem to get hospitals built, to get homeless shelters built, and within 3 months they were able to build a shelter. I'm Venezuelan. I'm glad that Americans could help out a lot of my people. But I think black Americans do have the right to question democratic governance and say, we've been here the whole time and you guys can't help them? What's that about?
Well, homelessness has actually gone down the last 2 years in
No one
California.
believes that.
Even I think in Los Angeles, it's gone down double digits. So there's been progress, but it's a difficult
Fake
problem
news,
to
the
solve.
fake news. That's fake news guy.
Okay, it's not that easy to solve, but we inherit 1/5 of the nation's homeless people here because of our nice weather and our accommodating cities and social services. So it's not something you're going to solve overnight. But at least our party is trying to
So
do
how
something.
long do we have to wait?
Well,
How long do we have to wait? What evidence do the American?
So here's my solution.
You said that Donald Trump did all these things. The middle class was wiped out during Biden's
Hold on. Wait.
presidency.
What is the country that has solved homelessness? Like, what are you asking for? Like, what are these demands?
I'm saying,
how long do you have to wait for you to solve homelessness, to solve poverty,
that
to
you
solve
can't give
immigration?
black people a homeless shelter in Washington D.C. and New York City, but you could open up migrant shelters? We've
Yes,
been
because
waiting
they
for
have a
hundreds
law.
of years.
They have a law in New York that anybody who asks for shelter can get it. And so these migrants wanted shelter and they got it. And anybody could have asked for it
So
too.
what am I supposed to tell the black homeless women at night that ask me for money in New York that I help, that the rich in New York don't care about, that no one else will care about in this country? What are you going to tell those women? Because you haven't given me an answer to that. And I'm going to leave here right
the
now
first time you asked the
because I don't
question.
want to waste more time.
You wasted time
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
why, yeah.
Destiny's family, and now you're going to take this position.
Because the reason I said that is because you want to hate Donald Trump because
Yes.
you aren't a symbol of anything. Because you want to say, look at him, how bad is he? Look at everyone here. You know how many ICE protests I've been to? You know how many people in the city get drunk every single weekend? They can't educate Hispanic kids.
They're not
Whenever-
running
wait, hold
the
on.
country. They're not the president
I don't
of the United
care.
States. What-
Whenever-
wait,
I don't
wait, Why do you
care.
not care?
It's
you have
on
the same
you
standard
as
for
a
opposing-
man.
We're not
You
running for
guys don't wanna
president. We're
take
not
care
the
of your
president of the
kids.
United States.
You guys don't want to take care of the kids.
I'm taking
What
care
do
of
You
you
all
guys
of my
want to get
kids.
drunk
Do we need to go
every
adopt
weekend
people? What are you
and get
talking
mad
about?
when the taxes go up or when this happens. You guys don't do shit.
You're one of the highest tax states in the country. What are you talking about? People are mad
And
about
what
the
do you
taxes
do
here.
every weekend? Help your own people.
So
Okay.
all right.
No, don't leave.
Right,
Come
brave.
back.
Brave. So people like that have no solution. They have no leaders they can propose, nothing at all. Just complain and then say you're not fixing everything.
All right.
It's the Jubilee dude. Holy shit.
Bro, I've been seeing a lot more places than Jubilee. It's not just Jubilee.
It's
Come
the
on.
Jubilee guy.
Bro, bro, I have like 100 million
Okay,
views
so
on my
dude
own
that
Instagram,
also
bro.
loses, and like I'm pretty sure I saw it in a video with you, right?
Yeah, I debated Destiny. Actually, I was going to talk about that, Destiny. So you posted me on your Instagram when we were talking about like healthcare and stuff, or like old people, dying people, sick, poor people, you know, the whole mix. I just kind of wanted to continue on that you said it was like, you know, like the worst conservative take or something. So like if somebody doesn't work, they die. Like if they can't afford their own food or their own healthcare, they get cancer when they're 65 years old. If they can't afford the treatment, well, that's kind of their fault because they didn't work hard enough when they were younger. So
This is a party of pro-life, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, actually, here's the thing. I am against killing another human if it's unjustified. And that
But
applies.
I'm for letting him starve.
No. But that applies to poor people and old people as well. I'm not for killing old people or poor people. So I'm not. You're trying to make it look like I'm a hypocrite or something. When in reality, I'm not. You're
Are
trying
you
to.
are you for open borders or mass migration?
No, I'm not. No.
Why?
Because these people from these other countries will ruin America.
When you say ruin America, because they have different
Yes.
values, right?
Different
Why is it that when
values,
Republicans
different
talk about healthcare, you
education.
guys sound like you have the values of like an African warlord?
What's wrong with
Like
African
all
warlords?
old
Is there
people,
something
all
wrong
sick
with
people,
Africans'
all need to
destiny?
die. What?
Is there something wrong with Africans' destiny? Why do you bring up African warlords?
Warlord. The warlord part was
Okay,
that.
that's
because
fair.
we
That's the
don't
best they
typically
got, by
have
the way.
that.
That's the best they got.
We don't have that as much in Europe than the West.
Why
okay?
don't we have white warlords?
Well, we have one right now in office. His name is
Really?
Donald Trump.
You think so? He's a warlord.
Yeah, the guy who just started the
Interesting.
largest energy racket in all of history, saying we just started a war with Iran. We're not going to do
Venezuela
fuck
and
all.
Iran.
This.
Yeah, I actually do disagree with the Iran thing. I agree with the Venezuela thing, but I really want to go back to healthcare.
Yeah,
though.
no, I'm just saying for healthcare, we live in a country where we
Yeah.
just don't abandon people to die. I don't know. We have like some minimum standards of like taking care of people in this country. Social Security is a thing that you pay into your whole life. and
Well,
you're-
yeah, I'm drastically aware of the fact that we already have that in America, and I'm saying that we shouldn't.
Yeah, but I'm
They-
saying we should. I'm
if-
saying
if
I
they not-
don't want to live in a country where people are just dying because they can't afford healthcare or food.
Well,
we
no,
have
it's
enough
because
wealth.
they didn't work hard enough for it.
What do you mean
That's
by
their
work
fault.
hard enough?
They didn't work. I mean, it's quite simple. They didn't
We
make
have
enough
there are
money
all
to pay
sorts
their
of
own
people.
healthcare.
Listen, society today values like the hyper autistic, like 140 IQ
Like you and
person.
me and stuff, yeah.
Yes, that can sit
Yeah.
inside of a
Not
fucking
you,
room all
not
day
you.
on a computer,
Wow.
right? This is the case, but like those jobs don't exist without people that are willing to be janitors, or people that are willing to work in construction, or people that are willing to be cooks, and or to do all these other jobs in society. Like you can't
They
have
could just work more hours if they get paid less.
not
hourly
everybody
rate.
can just work,
People should just work more hours.
Or
you know?
if you're one of the people whose job is enabled by the existence of all of these other people, you could just pay a little bit more in taxes, and they could actually have like a retirement and have like a happy time that they can spend with their family.
I mean, if people didn't have to pay taxes, people would be able to spend a lot more money on services, which would increase
We
jobs.
also wouldn't have roads, bridges, police, the firefighters, hospitals, the social safety nets that are all funded by those taxes. You know that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want those social safety nets. I do want the
You don't
roads.
want roads. Yeah,
I mean,
well,
like,
I
what
do
you
pay
don't,
for
I
the
mean,
job.
it's like
I
you
never
don't want to
mentioned that.
live.
pay the government.
Why would you want to live in a country that just like subjects people to death if they didn't work hard enough? as
Well, it
they
doesn't
were-
subject them to death. I'm not for killing people, but if
I didn't
somebody's
say
going
you were
to
for
die,
killing. Yeah,
look,
I'm
look,
saying-
here's the thing. Your friend over here. What? You're Jewish or something? I don't know. What's your name? I don't know. You look Jewish. Did you have
The
curly
Jewish
hair?
guy, I'm 4% Jewish, bro. Lock
Okay,
in,
okay.
bro.
See, I was somewhat right. I was 4% correct, 96% wrong.
What does a Jewish
Okay.
person look like?
I don't know. Curly hair and stuff.
Curly
Dark
hair.
hair, usually.
He referred to
Bro, I don't
himself as
know.
140 IQ, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
you-
I don't know, bro. Bro, I don't
You
play
look like
ethno
somebody
guess-
who rode
Bro, I
the
don't play
short bus to
ethno
high
guesser
school.
all day, okay? So basically what I'm going back to though is you said, oh, I thought you were pro-life, trying to
Yeah,
essentially
that,
said I'm a
that'd be the
hypocrite.
assumption. You think
I
that
am
human
against-
dignity is intrinsic, so
Dude,
I'd assume
no,
that you'd like pass
bro,
that on, that same
let
value
me
to old
finish it.
people.
You're trying to call me hypocritical
Yes.
because, like, obviously I'm pro-life. You know me, probably. I don't know who you are, but you know who I am. That kind of says a lot, right? But basically what I'm trying to get at is that I'm
You're
pro-life,
such
which
a big
means
deal. You showed up to this event.
I'm
where anybody
against
can show up to.
against the unjustified killing of all humans, even on the unborn ones.
Unless
but when it
they're
comes to
immigrants,
people-
unless it's Alex Preddy or Renee Good.
no,
Unless,
if somebody's gonna die, if an illegal immigrant is gonna die of cancer or something, or an old poor person, they're going to die from their own natural causes. I'm not the one going out to kill them. So
But
you can't
there's
say I'm
a,
hypocritical.
the distinction
That doesn't
between
apply.
the distinction between doing and allowing harm, like it really depends on your capacity to help.
Yeah, doing
right?
a lot. Thank you, Destiny.
But
Yeah,
like,
you get
well,
the
but
difference.
hold on. If I'm standing on the beach and there's somebody 10 miles out to sea who's drowning, I don't, I don't think it would be. I can't swim
Yeah, you
10
can't.
miles.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But if I was walking by a pool,
Well, we
and
saw
I,
what you looked like on the
and I
beach,
saw-
Destiny. I don't think you could swim
Oh,
10
that's
feet.
great.
He's trying to
Listen,
go viral.
And I
He's
still
trying
look
to go
better than
viral.
Trump. I still look better than Trump. Okay.
know about
Somebody
that one,
walking
bro. You're
by.
like 35.
Somebody walking. I'm pretty sure that if Donald Trump went shirtless, we would see 50 more new strange bruises on his body that he would say came from other people
Bro,
shaking
he's
his
like
hands. or
80
whatever.
though.
Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't be in
Bro,
office.
you're like
Good point.
35.
I agree. He shouldn't be in office. That's great.
Stick to the conversation.
Okay.
So if there was a person, if I see a 6-month-old just like roll into a pool, and I could very easily just bend over and pick him up and lift him out of the pool, would it be immoral for me to sit there and watch the child die?
I in that situation, yes, because
In that
it doesn't take away.
No, hold on. I'm not saying it takes away anything. I
know.
know you're really eager to. Okay, I'm just saying that the doing versus allowing harm in that situation is going to be very minor. Like a parent would get mad at you for pushing their child into the pool, but I think a parent would be almost as mad at you if you just watched them walk in and drown and sat there sipping a martini and didn't do anything.
But what's the almost as mad? Like if a parent saw you push their kid in a pool, they would probably want you like given the death penalty or go to prison for life.
I'm just saying,
if the toddler was just left in the pool and you didn't do anything, they're like, "What the is wrong with you?" Right? They're not going to want you to get the death penalty.
I'm not talking about necessarily criminal punishments. I'm not sure actually 100% criminal punishments. But I'm saying that the doing versus allowing harm distinction only matters in so much as how much you have to inconvenience yourself to help the person, right? If we can take care of the sick people in society, if we can take care of like the hungry people in society, we ought to do that. There's no good country that you would want to live in, that you would want to be a part of, that lets people die because they didn't work hard enough until they were 65.
What I find interesting is that the federal government loves to give out free healthcare to people who what's the word? When they apply,
let's generalize millions of individuals that don't have good outcomes. Yeah, let's.
Okay, whatever. A lot of people get free healthcare from the government.
Whatever.
The government doesn't give out free gym memberships. Like, what the hell? My healthcare costs $10 a month.
Honestly, public gyms is a kind of cool idea, but whatever.
Yeah, my health insurance costs $10 a month.
But the reason why we have 70 million people on Medicaid is because corporations aren't paying people enough. These are greedy corporations. Your beef is with them, not the workers. Why do you have such a low view of your fellow Americans, that they're lazy, they don't work hard enough?
Well, I mean, I think it's quite. I don't even think it's an opinion that they don't work hard enough. It's quite evident that they don't work hard enough because they need handouts from the federal government.
No, wait, it's not true that they don't work hard enough. It's that they don't work the jobs that society currently values.
They don't provide enough economic output. Like if you dig a hole that's like 5 feet deep, like the movie Holes or some, and then you fill it up at the end of the day, you did a lot of hard work, but you did not provide anything.
Like
to
what
society.
Elon did with his tunnels in Vegas for the Hyperloop or whatever.
What was that?
How are you minimizing their contributions? I guarantee you, if you drive over a road with a bunch of potholes, you're going to be relatively upset at the damage it does to your vehicle, at how long it takes you to get it from point A to point B. For you to act as if they don't do anything or they're not doing enough, where they're doing hard manual labor, they're working like 20 million hours at Walmart or some shit. I find it so odd how you minimize the work they do that makes your life better.
I mean, all that matters is somebody's output. It doesn't matter how much hard work
human
that they
beings
did.
are not output. Again, how can it be pro-life? You're just like, are you number one?
No,
or
but
number
the amount
two?
of money that they get paid for this economic system that we live in depends on their output. Doesn't depend on how hard they work. Which is why I mentioned the analogy. If you dig a hole that's 5 feet, you fill it up at the end of the day. You didn't do shit, but you did a lot of hard work. You didn't output anything. You don't deserve jack shit. So a lot of people do these really hard jobs.
It's not that they're just digging holes and filling them up. These people are doing socially valuable work. It's just not as highly skilled, so it's not as highly compensated. But like do you think it's a mistake, or do you think that it's a coincidence that every single country basically on the planet decides to take care of its like old and sick people, even if they can't afford to pay for it?
Well, I think those works in a lot of European countries because the United States military covers their ass through NATO and a lot of other treaties. Like the vast majority of active soldiers in Western Europe are actually American, by the way.
Stop acting like that doesn't benefit
Germany.
What? NATO and these treaties are not like some altruistic attempt at making everybody feel safer. Like we're establishing influence all across the globe.
What I'm getting at is that these countries in Western Europe, because they don't need to fund such a huge military to defend themselves against Russia, they're able to go, oh wait, the United States is going to protect us. Let's divert a lot of our funding towards healthcare services, and also like let's just get out the elephant in the room. A lot of those Western European countries are very white, right? They don't have a lot of minorities that are like draining down the welfare system. We know that's very factual.
Wow.
Like,
Wait a second. So I don't know this, but like
It's true.
I don't have an
It's
actual.
true.
I don't know 100% the answer, but my vibe would be that white people probably drain more healthcare in the United States. 'Cause
Yes.
Don't they live on average like 8 years longer, and the majority of your healthcare draining years are at the end of your life when you're receiving like the highest.
Not relative to the United States being 60% white. I mean, it might be like at the 51%.
Well, what
mark,
I'm
but it's
saying
not-
is that like technically minorities, if they're dying at earlier ages, would be better for your healthcare system, right? So I don't know.
I don't want any healthcare system at all.
Okay, well, for those of us that don't
You
want to
just
live
want
in a place where
nothing.
people are just dying on the street, like
Did you say yes to that?
Are you
Yes
a
to what?
racist?
You guys said two things
that
at
you
once.
just want nothing.
Yeah, I don't want any federal healthcare system put in place.
why do
People
you
should
think,
be able to get their own healthcare with their own money that they
Why do you think
gave-
no
that they
other
got.
industrialized country on the planet like operates this way?
Because they have the United States military to protect them, so they don't need to put their money
Okay,
into their
so
military.
now that Trump is undermining NATO, if NATO goes away completely, you think every single European country is just going to get rid of their healthcare?
They're either going to have to get rid of their healthcare and divert some of the funding to their military, or they're going to get by Russia.
I disagree, but I guess we'll see what happens, and then you guys will have a new excuse for why it didn't happen when it doesn't happen, because that's how it always works. But
we'll see.
I think I would probably want to live in a world where like the poorer people in society are being taken care of because they enable the wealthier people to do the things that they do.
They enable
what?
By what? They enable by what? Watching TV.
But is that all they do?
Also, I have a new take here. I have a new take here. If somebody
by doing all the work that enables you to work in a...
I have a new take here. If we're not able to get rid of like welfare and stuff and free healthcare, in order for somebody to sign up for welfare or government assistance, they need to resign their right to vote. So it says on the document when they're getting their welfare or food stamps, it says, I will not be voting during any of the elections that take place in the time in which I'm receiving food stamps.
I find it so odd how Republicans criticize states like California or New York for having a lot of homeless people on the street, but whenever they try to help them out,
California is just because of the weather.
That's not the government's role. They should not help out homeless people. Let's just let them starve and die.
Well, I mean, a lot of Republicans attack California.
You guys want to live in a third world country.
Look, I'm going to agree with you in a second. A lot of Republicans will like attack California and say, oh, you have a bunch of homeless because you guys are giving them free money. It's just because the weather's nice. Like, that's really it. But, yeah, I was just going to say that's one thing.
Yeah, and you just want homeless people on the street?
No, I don't. We should ban fentanyl, ban drugs, bring back insane asylums. That would get rid of 90% of them.
Yeah,
so.
instead of spending money on rehabilitation and shelter, we're going to throw them in an insane asylum. Wow.
Do you not think that corporations being forced to give more of their money to their employees, offering better compensation, benefits, would help solve a lot of the problem that you've described?
A lot of what problem?
That people don't have enough money to live.
They
take care of themselves.
Well, basically, if we were to get rid of all these government programs, and by the way, fire like 90% of the Shaniquas in the federal government because they don't do shit for work.
That's
so
kind
of show up and collect a paycheck.
Bro, how sad are you,
But
man?
look, what I'm
I'm curious.
What
How do you reconcile that we had the most ketamine psychosis out Elon Musk come in, claim that all these issues existed with the federal government, take Doge, and Doge was a monumental failure at finding any wastewater abuse at all.
I didn't run Doge.
They promised $2
trillion.
dollars.
But I'm asking, this guy was supposed to be the smartest, the brightest, the most qualified, the richest man on the planet. Donald Trump was sucking him off on the daily. How is it that this guy found no wastewater abuse? He had access to every single part of the federal government.
Maybe he was threatened. Maybe he was blackmailed. I don't know.
The wealthiest man. Wait. Hold on. Wait. I just want to be clear. The richest man in the planet, who was friends with the most powerful man on the planet, was blackmailed.
I mean, the president's probably being blackmailed.
Dude, you will literally do anything to.
We know that's true.
How is the president? Who's the president being blackmailed by?
Let me guess. Israel.
Yeah, Netanyahu.
I don't know. The president being blackmailed. Hold on. Wait.
He does a lot of things.
I love.
Donald Trump does a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense for the interest of the American people.
And
you voted for him.
And he may or may not be being blackmailed.
Conspiracy theories used to make sense, okay? But so you're saying that the president is being blackmailed?
Yeah, the conspiracy theories have turned out true. That's
no,
why.
Basically none of them have turned out to be true. By the way, yes.
Really, Pizzagate didn't turn out to be true.
It literally didn't. It literally was not true. But no. Here's the question, right? So President Trump is being blackmailed by what?
I want them released.
By Israel?
Well, I'm like agreeing with you guys.
He's being blackmailed by Israel. How is it that Epstein died when Trump was president?
Did he die though? Did Epstein die? Did that happen?
My God, dude.
Right.
You said that you are agreeing with him, but you don't. You voted for Trump, right?
Yeah, I've voted for him over Kamala Harris.
That has not worked with the legislature.
I voted for him over Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
would Kamala have done a better job at releasing the Epstein files?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, she would have. Yeah, you can't answer that.
I don't know.
You know she would have.
Would Kamala have us in a war with Iran right now?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
Probably
do.
not.
Yes, you do.
How would you guys know?
Because which administration is responsible?
Do you have a genie ball that you're looking into?
So, well, let's see. We had 4 years of Biden, and he cut up the JCPOA. Then we had 4 years of, we had 4 years of Trump, who cut up the JCPOA. We had 4 years of Biden. We didn't go to war with Iran, even though Iran attacked Israel, right? And then we brought in Trump, and then he basically went to war with Iran twice.
Yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. That's not in America's interest. So that's why I think he's possibly being blackmailed. Like, bro,
maybe he's just a president, and you're for voting for him. Is that possible?
Yes.
Like, why is it always? There's always something else.
Donald Trump is not my top pick in the Republican primary.
It doesn't matter. You voted for him. You supported him.
A lot of high class people talk like this. Okay, they use their hands. Okay,
but you're high class. Is that high class?
Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Who would be your perfect president right now?
Nicholas J. Fuentes. He'd be wonderful.
Wow, unconstitutional. He's not old enough.
Not old enough.
Not old enough.
Child.
No, I know.
So give us
Destiny,
somebody
you're old
real.
enough. You're
What?
35, 36 years old. You're old enough, right?
You'd vote Destiny?
No.
Wow.
It'd be interesting to see him run, though.
I'm hurt.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is what you do when you're actually incapable of addressing all the up that's happened over the last year and a half.
No.
That's what you do. You go from, oh, well, Kamala Harris sucks and they're going to destroy America. And now that Trump's doing everything that you guys said Kamala Harris was going to do, you're like, oh, he's getting blackmailed by Israel, guys. You're just incapable of holding the president accountable. Because when you do, your whole movement fails.
Then why do you think he is going to war with Iran?
Because
you
voted for a guy with the mental capacity of a toddler.
Not why is he in office. Not why is he in office. Why do you personally think Donald Trump went to war with Iran?
They said it for the collective self-defense of Israel because he's so easily convinced by somebody.
So why would he be supporting Israel that much?
Because he's an idiot.
Really? Do you
he
think
likes easy wins. Trump likes easy W's. Yeah.
You think that's it?
They probably told him. They probably told him that Iran is evil and the Ayatollah is terrible, and if you took him out, you're going to look so good. So blah blah whatever. I don't know. Netanyahu probably sold him on something like this. Yeah. The same way that he was talking about invade. I'm sorry. Did Israel? Were they the ones pressuring him to invade Greenland?
Or Canada?
Not.
What? Or Venezuela?
I'm not actually not sure.
Did Israel tell him to go to Venezuela?
Oh yeah, I heard.
Did Israel tell him to renew the embargoes on Cuba? Did it like? It's always somebody else's fault.
I actually think Venezuela is great because it lessens our reliance on the Middle East because we could just get oil from the Gulf
that's
of
not
America,
happening.
by the way.
That's not happening.
Inside of the Gulf of America, Venezuela.
Yeah, that's not
wonderful.
happening. Also, sorry, I thought we were drill, baby, drill. Now we need to go to other countries and drill their oil. What happened to that?
Well, but, I mean, a lot of the state governments have regulation making it impossible to...
Regulation? He's the president, dog. What are you talking about? What regulation? He's the regulator.
No, state regulation.
What state? He's the president. He doesn't give a fuck about the states. He's literally sending ICE to states to go murder American citizens and then whisking them off.
Wait. Which American citizens did ICE murder? Let's hear this.
Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Renee Good denied federal orders from a federal agent.
Guys, if you say, officer, why'd you pull me over? They have the right to kill you.
Who else denied federal orders from a federal agent? I seem to remember there was
a
a man who was federally ordered to turn over a whole bunch of classified material that was spilling out on his bathroom floor. Who didn't turn that material over? Wasn't that Donald Trump?
Is that when his house got raided?
After 2 years of asking for those documents, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting that he didn't turn those over.
Renee Good denied federal orders.
Pretty interesting that
so
Trump
you
denied all
that.
What
he just said? You see that?
I mean, I don't have much to say to that.
Do you even know anything about the classified documents case?
What was that?
No, they never do.
Do you know anything about the classified documents case?
Not too much. It was like 4 years ago.
Oh, when my president gets indicted and for like a bunch of crazy shit, I don't really give a You see what I'm saying?
I was 17 at the time. Now I'm 21.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't remember that too much.
I'm pretty sure.
I remember it happening.
I'm pretty sure when you were 17 and now you're like just as politically involved or you had the same like thought process.
No, I didn't get into politics until I was 18.
So how bad were you when you were 17? Holy shit.
What was that?
How f***ed up were you when you were 17? If this is you at 21?
I mean, at 17, I think I had like 40 grand in the bank. I made myself by working 80 hours a week in fast food. So like I wasn't that f***ed up actually. I was doing quite well for myself. And then I got into politics.
So hold on. At 17, you had 40 grand in the bank working fast food?
Yep. 80 hours a week. Five Guys, Chipotle, and Panda Express.
Did you not go to school?
Nope.
Yeah, it shows.
I went to high school for 6 months.
Wait, where did you keep this money? In a savings account?
Not savings. They didn't pay for interest, so just the checkings.
So you had a checking account.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe you. Why would you have 40 grand or
because
80 grand in a checking
during
account?
COVID,
no interest, no investments, nothing.
I had Bitcoin actually. I doubled my money on that.
Okay, so now you had 80 grand in Bitcoin.
No. I put 12 in and got 24 out.
What fool would have $80,000 sitting in a checking account?
The savings accounts wouldn't pay anything in interest.
You.
No, nobody would keep that much cash in a random checking.
Well, the question is, why would you work 8 hours a week at fast food when you should be investing in your education?
I think I'm quite intelligent, actually. I went to college when I was
What do you do right now for work?
I went to college when I was 18.
What do you do right now for work?
I have my own political canvassing business. I do GIS and data processing, and I'm also doing political debates, just like you, Destiny.
Okay. Well,
like,
I don't know.
I got like 90 million views this year in the past 3 months. Like, I'm doing quite well, you know. But, yeah, basically, I went to college when I was 18. I went to college when I was 18 years old. I took 6 classes. I got
think
straight
that's when
A's
most
and
people
shit.
go to college, right?
Yeah. I took 6 classes. I got straight A's, and then I left because it was a waste of my time because my professors were.
I don't think you actually want to help this country in any way at all, because all the policies you've proposed would just hurt more white people, which you seem to be very, very care very much about.
Why are you so focused on white people?
You're the one who brought race into this earlier when you mentioned Shaniquas.
Well, you were the one mentioning European countries, and I mean, that's the difference.
And you related European countries instantly to race, right? You're the one that did it. You're the one that did it. You related instantly to race.
No, because he brought up the European countries, and the major explanation for that is that Finland is full of white people.
Okay,
America
because Finland is white, then magically healthcare exists. That's what you're saying?
No, it's just that they provide a lot more economic output.
Then why'd you mention it?
Because they provide a lot more economic output, making the system actually work somewhat functionally. But also, the United States provides military protection to those Western European countries.
That's
which
irrelevant.
We should not,
so you're saying that white people provide more economic output, so therefore we should deprive minorities of healthcare access?
No.
Or everybody of healthcare access, sorry.
No, we shouldn't deprive them of anything, but we shouldn't be giving them free things as well. So
well, they have healthcare now, and then you're like, we should get rid of that system. What are you doing?
Yes, well, I'm not taking anything away from them. We are stopping
more
them
white
from getting
people
more
would
things.
be punished by these policies you're proposing.
Well, I'm not focused on that. If somebody's not working, I don't care if they're white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. I think people should not be given free handouts.
Yeah, because moral values intrinsic, because I'm very pro-life. If you're not working, then you're no longer a human being. You don't deserve rights. Like, how does that make any sense?
No, they deserve rights.
They deserve to starve.
No, they don't. They don't deserve to starve.
That's what you're saying. What do you mean? They should starve and not be helped by a government with a $30 trillion economic
free
output
food, I'll tell you
and
that.
multi-trillion-dollar revenue.
They don't deserve free food, I'll tell you that.
Why,
they don't deserve to starve, but they also don't deserve free food.
70%.
They can go get their own food if they like, but if I'm not going to give it to them, nobody else is going to give it to them.
70% of people on SNAP benefits are elderly, disabled, or children.
Okay.
Should we take away their food?
What does disabled constitute as? What is the definition for disabled?
That's pedantic. It's irrelevant. We mentioned a bunch of groups of people.
It is actually quite relevant.
Because then it changes the definition of kid. No, it doesn't.
How disabled are they? Like, are they a paraplegic or are they like, oh, my thumb hurts or something?
Doesn't matter.
Do they make
decided they need an average of $160
do you know how many people make up disability bullshit to get free disability?
That is actually a damning non-answer. So can you address what he said, please?
So he said 70% of...
70% are children, disabled, permanently disabled, or elderly.
Okay. I'm
Fuck
saying
them.
Define 70%.
No, but those old people should have worked enough to have
a random question because I know we got to move on. Are you Christian?
Yes, I am.
How the
I believe in donating your own goods and services, not forcing somebody else to give away their goods and services to a poor person. I have donated probably more money than any college student here surrounding me of my own personal money, not from my parents or something.
Whenever you give money to the government and then they give it to people, isn't that you providing?
No, but that's me being forced to do it. And you guys are pretending to be so morally righteous by doing this, but you're actually wanting other people to pay for poor people's.
Well, no,
I'm in favor. If somebody wants to voluntarily say, hey, I actually have a surplus of money right now, I'm going to give a few grand to this charity, that's great. I think people should do that. I don't think they should be forced to do that.
Aren't you compelled to do that? Have you been to church before?
I have, yeah.
What do they do twice a mass if you're Catholic?
I'm not Catholic.
Oh, big L. But do they collect donations at your church?
They don't pass anything around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you anonymously donate online.
Wait, well, hold on. Wait, what kind of church is this?
Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills. Jack
is this
Hibbs.
like an online church?
Right? Do you know Jack Hibbs? He has like 500,000 followers on Instagram. He's a big political speaker.
No, I don't.
You don't? Interesting.
Is this an online church?
No.
Okay.
It's
for all the Catholic churches I've been to, they generally tithing is like seen as like a thing you're supposed to do, and they pass around the thing.
And that's actually not biblical, right? You should be giving in secret. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna put money in the box in front of everybody to make them.
Well, there's a difference between giving money as part of tithing versus making a big show out of it, right? Like you're still doing it in front of people. Right?
Yeah, but you should still do it secretly if you're.
But who says that? That's not true. What?
It's in the Bible. Yeah.
It's literally not in the Bible.
It's in the Bible that you should donate to the church secretly.
When
Have you even read the Bible?
Wait, hold on. When Jesus is literally doing the thing of the woman who donates quietly versus the guy that makes a big show out of it, how does he know that the woman donated quietly? It's because she still walks up to tithe. It's public. It's not like you have a secret mail thing that you send the donation off to.
Bro, what? No, it says in the Bible that you should give in secret if you're going to be donating.
You can, but tithing in part of church is not considered an immoral thing. I think it's an expectation. Every Catholic church I've ever been to.
No, it is a moral thing, but you should do it in secret. You shouldn't make it obvious. You're not going to be like, well, I made $500,000 this year. I want to be donating $50,000 to the church. Like, you shouldn't.
Nobody said that. So cool.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Okay, let's talk.
Yes, I agree with her again. Round of applause for her again. That was beautiful. Rather feed the poor than bomb people. Amazing.
Good luck to that guy.
Yeah, thanks for speaking with me. I'm a white nationalist. I want to rebuild the movement under my leadership. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, so thanks for speaking with me. I'm a white nationalist. I want to rebuild the movement under my leadership.
I love you an American History X, bro.
Guys, this is the replacement for Nick Fuentes, apparently. Wow.
Yes, actually.
Okay.
And Destiny, I was wondering when you would join us.
Okay, here's my issue. First of all, I have blue eyes, so I think I would survive longer than I think you if you've got brown eyes.
No, I have hazel eyes.
Oh, you're first on the list then, because hazel eyes are really just brown eyes, but a different shade. Okay?
No, it's
biologically
half white, half
We don't
brown.
do halfies in the white nationalist movement, okay?
Okay, thanks.
But okay, I'm so curious. Okay, on the white nationalist perspective, where do you think you're going to end up drawing the line?
Personally, the main ones for me are deporting the Hispanics and the anchor babies.
Okay, but when you say like Hispanics, like would Fuentes count?
I would let personally the ones that are like 75% white stay. So I would let Nick stay.
75. Okay.
Yeah.
Do I get to stay?
Well, I mean, you're 100% though, right? You're like.
I don't. My mom has a Cuban background. I don't know what her.
Yeah, but you're not actually like indigenous. You're Spanish.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, give me your.
But like, do you see the issue here? Like,
No.
you keep saying me personally. You don't see the issue with having a white nationalist policy, but it's hard to define what we even consider fully white.
No,
white
it does. It doesn't. Those edge cases are not the majority. The majority is the lower IQ, more violent Hispanics that are causing too much crime, using too much welfare,
you know what?
and destabilizing
listen,
the system.
I would join you on this, but can we deport the low IQ whites as well?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I mean we need the
wearing a
eugenics
beanie
program
and-
too.
Wait, why not?
70
Why not
degree
just
weather.
deport like all the low IQ people,
That's
whites,
fine.
browns included?
That's fine. I'm fine with eugenics.
And then we can keep the higher IQ Hispanic, black, white people as well. No?
Yeah, but there's not enough of those, and then there's also other issues.
Do we keep the high IQ Jewish people?
It depends on what they say.
But
I imagine they'd probably say anything to stay in the white nationalist.
Well,
state.
I mean, look, it really depends. Like, I mean, a lot of folks want. I mean, there's like basically three different wings in the far right, right? You have the Nick Fuentes who want to deport them all. Then you have the Jewish right who obviously want to stay, and then you have more people who are in the middle, like me, who can go either way. So I agree
appreciate the flexibleness of your white nationalism.
yeah,
But it really
sounds
depends.
like an interesting movement.
But my question is, you don't have any future in the Democratic Party. You've already pissed off Hassan. You've pissed off like the DSA
Hassan is
folks,
not the Democratic Party.
right? You've had sex with Lauren Southern. You played footsies with Nick Fuentes.
He just
You've already
sat
done
down.
too many
He
things.
just sat down with a cabinet member from Biden's administration
You've
within
done
the
too
last
many
6
things.
months.
Well, I'm not running for office. Like,
But
what do you?
you're never gonna have like a seat at the table. You've already pissed these people off.
I
way
don't
too
need to
much.
have a seat at the table. There are values that I think are important to impart to the world or on my platform. It doesn't matter if I have a seat at the table or not. That's going to stop me from doing that.
What's your number one issue? What's your number one value?
It's deporting low IQ white nationalists.
No, seriously. What is your actual number one issue?
My number one issue? I don't know. I'd have to think for a while.
This is too much of a grifter. Like you have to have a number one issue.
Why do you have to have a number one issue?
Yeah, because what are you promoting? Like, you're just here attacking other folks, trying to shut them down. But what is your goal?
Well, I mean, the number one issue, the things you generally talk about revolve around current politics. I think right now a really huge issue is the fact that we're making enemies out of the entire world. I think is damaging us domestically. It's hurting our ability to bring down things like affordability, which is a number one issue for people, because we're engaged in a narcissistic tariff and kinetic war against other countries. So I would say like repairing our relationship with other countries in the world, especially ones that we were historically always friendly with, like Canada and Mexico. Like these would be like number one foreign policy ideals. And
so what policies would you implement to fix that? Just lowering tariffs? That's it?
What policies? I mean, I think like there needs to be restrictions. Probably some restrictions need to come in on presidential powers. These would probably require constitutional amendments. But like, I think the pardon at this point should probably go. No offense to Hamilton, but I think the founding fathers were a little naive when it came to some of the powers that were granted to the president. The pardon being one of them. I think the Supreme Court probably needs to be expanded. I think they need to be able to do like a higher volume of cases. I think would help some. I think that Congress probably needs to reassert its role, whether that means passing new legislation to kind of take back some of the tariffing powers that were given to the president via IEEPA or a few other things. I don't know, like this general trend of things, but it's hard to say specifically like what regulation would I change because Trump himself is lawless. Like he operates largely with the assumption that he can break laws and violate the Constitution and he's not going to be held accountable for it. So like I don't know what laws I would write to stop a man who believes he's above the law.
And I guess maybe one more point. So if you do implement all these changes that you want, which are pretty vague, but whatever, do you think that would actually end the culture war, or would we still be here in 4, 10, 20, 40 years? Are we going to be doing this when we're 80 years old?
The only people contributing to the culture war is people like you showing up with like pants all the way up to your like belly button and a beanie over your head. Yeah.
Well,
maybe you're the issue. Do you ever consider that it's probably not normal people and just you?
I apologize for the outfit. I was running a little bit late. This is not usually how I dress, but
so my issue with culture war stuff is I feel like what conservatives do is conservatives don't give a like you say that my policies are vague. I mean, we can dive as deep into any of these issues as you want. If you want, we can go into them. But the issue is that conservatives don't concern themselves with governance. They don't have like real policies. They come in with meme ideas. Those meme ideas fail miserably. They find a way to pawn it off onto somebody else, and then Democrats have to come back in, clean up the mess that they left behind, try to do actual real work, and then Republicans will just constantly bait with culture war issues on the side, until people forget, what's even going on.
I don't agree with this at all. Like, yeah, the Republican Party is controlled by the donors, the establishment. They're a bunch of cowards. But obviously, we, the base, we want the mass deportations. Even Nick, he's a coward.
You say you want the mass deportations, but you're not getting them.
Yeah, Trump cucked.
No, but he was always going to be.
No,
cucked.
he wasn't.
He was always going to fail at that. I'm telling you.
proof.
I'll bet
No,
my
I
whole life on
okay.
every future administration.
Yes.
There was no world where he was going to deport 13 million people.
Yeah.
That's ignoring anybody else that came in under asylum.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in deportation.
No. It's not that. It's that he was never going to be able to do that.
He
If
doesn't
you voted
want
for
to
him
do
to
it.
do that, you were misled,
No,
or you were just ignorant
he
of the
could.
circumstances.
Yeah, he could.
It is impossible.
Yes, he could.
He forwarded them $90 billion, and they haven't been able to do it.
He literally blinked on the whole battle for Minneapolis. He refused.
He blinked because it was an
refused to
impossible
send
and
the troops
untenable
in.
battle.
He
I know
he
that this sucks.
refused
Listen, in the
martial
real
law.
world, if you
No.
want to be a leader,
No.
it can't just be you with a stick smacking everybody,
It
telling them what to
actually-
do.
yeah, it is.
It
That's
literally
it
isn't.
is.
That's not how
That's
the
what
real world
That's
works.
what Obama did with DACA.
That's not how the
that's
real
what
world works.
Obama did
You
with
should
Syria.
you should
Obama
appreciate
did
that
the exact same
position
thing.
as a white nationalist.
No,
Look at
no,
every strong
you're
fascist
coping.
empire that
No,
ever existed.
no,
What did
you're
they say?
coping.
We're built
You're
around
coping.
war,
No,
a strong identity,
no,
a
blah,
military.
blah, blah,
These
blah,
losers
blah,
lost in a single
blah,
generation.
blah,
They lost
blah,
immediately
blah,
to the
blah,
most
blah,
diverse,
blah,
gayest
blah,
countries on the
blah,
planet.
blah, blah,
They're losing to
blah,
trans
blah,
Ukrainian drone
blah,
operators.
blah,
Round of
And,
applause,
like,
everybody.
come on.
No, let me.
I'm just
okay,
telling you that
let
they're,
me
like, if
respond.
you want to,
let me
approach,
respond. Let me respond.
Well, you didn't even let me talk because you
Yeah,
kept saying
because,
blah blah blah.
because you went off topic. You started talking about Ukraine, all these other things, all this fascism.
all tied together. They
No,
all
no,
tie together.
no. We're talking about battle for Minneapolis. Trump could have sent in the troops. He could have declared martial law. He decided not
To kill American citizens?
And started a
That's-
civil
that's
war?
fine. That's fine with me.
Why?
What
You
the
want the
fuck?
president to be a dictator, an authoritarian ruler with no?
These people are committing was sedition. They're literally acting against the government. They're not enforcing the
Oh,
immigration
what like the
laws.
J6 marchers did?
Look, we said not to
Sedition
go.
is
We were
fine
not pro
when it's
J6,
them.
okay? So we
I didn't
we
say
did
you
not
were
go.
pro. Why did you turn that out? You're not pro J6. I'm asking, do you agree that they were seditious?
Some of them probably. But
How about the ones that were convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I haven't looked at all the details, so I don't
Oh
know.
my
They
God!
never
I don't
They
know.
never know the details.
It's not.
They
it's
never
not my
know the
thing.
details.
Okay, the J6. Those are not our people. That was not our stuff.
I bet you could tell me the ins and outs of everything having to do with like trans healthcare and illegal migrant coyotes, though. But
No,
you don't know
I don't
anything
care
about
that. I don't
the.
care about that stuff either. I just don't want to become a minority in a Hispanic nation. Okay, even the immigrants are coming here for white supremacy. They want to be ruled by white people. White people built this nation.
Who's doing that,
Wait,
bro?
do you think you live a pretty good life right now?
Better than other parts of the world.
You're
Yes.
a resident of California, right?
Overall, compared to other places in the world,
Yeah,
yes.
you're a resident of California.
Correct.
You already are a minority here.
Yeah, but white supremacy. Are you guys not far left? Okay, the far
So what's
left
so
will
bad
literally
about
tell
it?
you that white supremacy is still in effect, that white people still control the levers of power, that Gavin Newsom.
So that's a damning non-answer, sir.
No, the white supremacy is still in effect.
Why do
to
you
some
stay in
degree
California where you're a minority? Why don't you go to Idaho or something
Or
where you can be among
Alabama,
your brethren?
Missouri.
Look,
Yeah,
that's
you
not
can bang your cousin
white
in
flight is
Alabama.
not going to solve our issue. We can't just keep white flighting forever. At some point, we have
But
to
you
take
choose
back
to
America.
stay here. No, you
That's-
choose to
that's
stay here
fine.
because you like it, because it's beautiful, because the people are
That
great.
doesn't
the
change
culture.
the fact that it keeps getting more dirty, more
dirty.
Yeah, more crime
break.
every year. It doesn't change the fact that we have to keep white flighting to
Well,
escape.
the air here, you almost couldn't see through it in like the 80s and 90s
like-
when the pollution was reaching like the worst it had been in
You're
LA.
literally
There was
just
so much
you're
smog.
obfuscating
And it was
and
the
you're going off
EPA.
topic.
It was more
You're
regulations
going
on
off
the environment.
topic. Okay.
No one is going off topic. You just
Yeah,
don't
you
like it
are.
when it's against
yeah,
your
you are
talking
because you
points.
don't want to actually debate the white nationalist
because
issues.
because
so you want to
you're-
deflect.
We can't hear you because your actions are screaming so loud. So
No,
the
you guys are
nonsense
trying to
coming out of your
obfuscate.
mouth is
You guys
just
are trying
useless.
to obfuscate.
Listen, let's just run a little test. Look around you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see how it's like a mix of a lot of people?
Yeah, what's your point?
Yeah, how dirty is it?
Look, there's trash everywhere. Like, what do you mean? Right,
Where's
right there.
the fucking-
Right
Are you
there.
talking about leaves?
Right there,
rage
right there,
baiting.
right there,
You're
right
just
there.
rage
The minorities are
One,
making the
two,
leaves
three.
fall. Holy shit.
Okay, so we get rid of all
no,
minorities
no.
are gone tomorrow. You think any problems are solved in
Yeah,
this
for
country?
sure. Yeah, definitely.
No,
Less
we're left with a
welfare
bunch
use,
of guys
less
like you.
crime, and then also
whole thing
the
falls
whole
apart
demographic voting
overnight.
situation gets fixed. And I think Destiny knows this stuff. You lost your debate against Martinez Perspective. I remember that.
I don't know who Martinez is.
Yeah, Martinez Perspective. You remember that debate?
Where was it?
It was on the line, but whatever. But look, I think Destiny.
No,
I
I don't. What do you mean?
Are
Like,
you ever going to debate these white nationalist arguments for
Didn't he
real?
just criticize
I'll
us for
have
pivoting?
debates. I'm debating white nationalists right now. Yeah, I'll debate white nationalists. But
Will
the
you
problem
speak
is
with Jared Taylor?
The problem.
Will you
who?
speak with Jared Taylor?
If I know the topic in advance, I'll debate anybody, including
Race,
Jared Taylor.
race realism
I'll-
versus Jared Taylor.
If he wants to, yeah, sure.
Okay.
But the issue
That's
with the
enough for
race
me.
realist is that you guys, you try to make these biological arguments for race realism, but as soon as I bring up the biology concerning anything outside of just the color of the skin, you abandon the arguments immediately. So people will make these race realist arguments about how white people might have higher IQ than whatever other group. If I say, okay, fine, we can deport all of the low IQ people from every group, for some reason that's like an untenable position. Why?
Well, I mean,
Shouldn't you
first
want
of
to keep
all,
the best
first-
genetic
no,
stock
well,
from
fir-
every race here? Like, wouldn't that make the most sense if that's what you wanted to do?
Well, no, there's other problems besides that. Like
Like
when
what?
For instance, when you race mixed kids, they can't get organ transplants because there's no donors available with their mixed DNA. Or
that's your concern. Hold on.
That's
your concern. Your concern is organ
yes
transplants for interracial children.
Do you acknowledge that that's an issue? Yes or no?
I'm sure there's some haploid blood thing or whatever,
Yes or
but
no?
I seriously doubt they
Yes.
cannot get any donations. I'm sure they can. It might just be a little bit harder.
It actually does become a huge problem.
Hold on. Just to be clear,
one
I'll look
reason.
this up later. Interracial children cannot receive donated organs.
It's very hard to find matches. Yes.
When you say very hard, you mean like they have 1% of organs available to them, or like 80%?
I don't actually know the details.
Okay, well, if you cared so much about this, I feel like you would know the number. But
no,
okay,
it's not. This is one of the issues. It's not all the issues. The other issue is that it's
also,
not.
how are you defining interracial? Is white just a race to you? Like, if you go to Europe, do you think that people in Sweden, do you think they're the same race as people who are in Germany or
if a
Russia?
person of color says you have white privilege, you are white. Okay, that's
white
simple.
privilege
That's
is not. But that's a different.
It's very simple.
That's a different type of. That's a different type of argument, right?
That's it. Okay, so I don't want to hear this. Like, look, we know who's white. Maybe there's people who are
rage
white
bait,
passing. Whatever. It's not really the main issue.
Is
The
your
main
problem?
issue-
Is your problem with minorities or low IQ people?
Both?
Okay, so what if it's turned out that you're low IQ? Do you go?
No, I'm not low IQ.
I think you are. So now you go.
No.
What if who decides who's low IQ?
Well, this is where we have to actually have a natural conversation on this issue, and then we got to.
I would argue a man wearing a beanie in 7-degree weather is low IQ.
That's fine. Okay. I'm not low IQ.
Didn't Donald Trump literally say, I love the lowly educated, I think he said.
But look, these are two different issues. And yes, after the mass deportations, yes, we need race realism. We need a eugenics program, healthy babies. We got to get the IQ rate higher. Those are all long-term goals. And yes, those are important.
Why do you think it was the case that countries that tried to be like racially pure kind of ended up failing, and the countries that are like the most diversified
America's greatness is not because of diversity. America's greatness.
That's just an accident? No.
It's a detriment to us?
Like, what about the fact that the most successful economic output places in the United States, even in red states, are diverse blue cities? Or
that's correlation. That's not causation.
All of it is okay. So the fact that our most
Correlation, not
successful states
causation.
are blue, diverse
Correlation,
states.
not causation.
So all of these places are working despite the fact that they're diversified, not because they're diversified.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No,
I don't know
no.
how to.
Look, either you're being low IQ or dishonest. But the thing is that you have, yes, the cities are where immigrants go because those are where they get the low-skilled jobs. You used to be manufacturing. Nowadays, it's things like, retail. So yes, the immigrants go to the cities, and the cities become diverse first and foremost. But that's just because of capitalism wanting cheap labor. That has nothing to do with the other issues. And then yes, there are negative externalities. And by the way, a lot of these immigrants, if it wasn't for the capitalists underpaying in wages and all the government subsidies, all the government welfare, a lot of these immigrants, they couldn't even afford to be here. But yeah, because of these issues, that's why these cities are more diverse. Okay. It's not because the immigrants are not making the cities great. It's the other way around. White people make the cities great. Immigrants come in later.
Listen, we only have 5 minutes left. I don't think we're going to figure this one out, but I wish you luck in your white
Deport
nationalist
him!
dream.
Deport him, everybody. Send him away.
Take care, Destiny.
Get away. Get away. Yeah, get away.
I suspect this will be a slightly idiosyncratic question or a statement, but I think that the Democratic Party's position on North Korea is broadly untenable. And I think it was pretty ridiculous that in 2017, when Trump offered, perhaps the first potential of a negotiated solution to North Korea or the Korean crisis, the Democratic Party decried this as some sort of great break of patriotism, or that rapprochement with North Korea is seen as taboo within the party, when really I think that pursuing some sort of mediated end to sanctions is a lot more tenable as a humanitarian solution in the long run.
Do you think that Donald Trump had the capability to negotiate anything meaningful with North Korea?
Almost certainly not, no.
Then why would it be a good thing for him to go and negotiate anything meaningful with North Korea?
Because I think it sends a powerful signaling effect that the United States is willing to begin rapprochement, and that potentially it sends a signal to our East Asian and South Asian allies that sort of the cordon sanitaire that we have against North Korea, or the strong sanctions regime, might actually start being negotiated or
let's say that you knew a couple who was working and their kid got dropped off. They're 7 years old. Their kid gets dropped off at their apartment, okay, at 3 o'clock, but they don't get home from work till 3:30. So there's like 30 minutes where their kid is kind of on their own. They're like a 6-year-old, so it's like not the best. Do you think that a babysitter for 30 minutes for that kid would be good?
Like, probably, sure.
What if the babysitter was a child cannibal, like he eats children?
Like, probably not then,
Really? You don't think babysitting the kid is good?
I mean, I suppose that this is the analogy is contingent on there being an active harm as a result of Trump negotiating with North Korea.
Which you seem to agree with, that Trump was not the guy to negotiate with North
Korea.
Korea.
Well, no, but there's a difference here, right? The question of whether or not you accomplished a positive end versus whether or not you actively, in this analogy, killed the child and ate the child are two different things.
Well,
like
it seems Trump saluted
for
the first time in U.S. history an enemy soldier because he's an idiot. His own, I think it was Tillerson, was complaining, I think, to Pence, saying that he was a idiot because he had no idea how to negotiate anything. It angered our allies in the region because I think as soon as we left, North Korea started testing for the first time, I think, was it medium range ballistic missiles? I think Japan was like throwing up red flags about this. So all we did was we made zero progress with any sort of negotiations. We semi-legitimized North Korea as a country and as a leader. We got Trump saluting their soldiers. Like, how is this not just the cannibalistic babysitter?
Yeah, so a few things to this. I think firstly, it's pretty plausible that military hardliners would have pushed Kim Jong-un to testing Hwasong-2 missiles with or without Trump negotiating.
But it was worse with Trump doing it, right? Because it made us look weaker.
I don't think so necessarily.
Wait. So if they decide to start testing missiles versus a world where the U.S. president goes down and then leaves, and then they start testing missiles, you don't think the latter looks worse significantly than the former?
The latter, I don't actually see counterfactually how that would have been meaningfully different. No. So I think the approximate case is that regardless of Trump's position, I'm almost certainly going to vote for a Democrat in the next election or whatever. But I think there needs to be a serious conversation in the Democratic Party about the reaction to, at the very least, trying to negotiate some solution, regardless of the outcomes of that negotiation. Because the criticism wasn't, Trump is an incompetent negotiator. The criticism was primarily, why are we negotiating with this horrible dictator?
I think the issue is, I think it was mainly focused on Trump because Trump is so self-congratulatory and obsessed with foreign power men leaders, right? I think there was literally a quote from him saying I wish my military treated me the way they treat him. Honestly, I do think that we should be trying to thaw relations. I think Trump tearing up the JCPOA for Iran, the nuclear deal, I thought that was horrible.
Yeah, it was obviously horrible. Yeah.
I think that we should do a lot more for Puerto Rico. I think that the way that island just floats out there with not much U.S. support, aside from Elon going down, and Trump throwing paper towels at them. Unless there's some geopolitical issue I'm not aware of, I don't know why our relationship with Cuba is so insanely hostile.
Yeah.
I think I would say we should probably prioritize that because we seem to be actively harming them, and especially now with Venezuela gone, Cuba doesn't have their own little personal China like North Korea does to try to shore up any instability in that country. But I agree with you broadly that we shouldn't have this view of being super hawkish on everything. But I think the pushback to Trump doing it was that you could have a kid that's not babysat for 30 minutes, but sending the cannibal in to watch it for 30 minutes is probably not good, which is basically what happened. He went in, the negotiations failed utterly. He continued testing even broader missiles, which made the U.S. look bad. It made North Korea look good and made everybody angry with us.
So I think there's two things to say here. One is I'm not really sure the premium that we should place on makes North Korea look good versus look bad. Allies have extremely strong exogenous reasons to stay invested in the diplomatic and economic success of the United States, regardless of whether or not we have one negotiation. But I do think there is something meaningful about the fact that we have not negotiated with North Korean leaders. We have treated them as though they're some, intractable dictatorship that we need to maintain maximalist pressure on. And Trump was, for better or worse, the first person who took a stance that said we're going to be willing to negotiate with them, even if those negotiations weren't ultimately successful. And I agree, Trump's foreign policy has been a disaster in a number of ways, but that step at the very least was quite powerful. And I think liberals have said the same thing about Obama, right? Even if the JCPOA wasn't perfect, that it sent a signal to our allies in the region and to allies around the world that we weren't just going to invade Middle Eastern countries as our first priority. We were going to negotiate with them.
But Obama was a person to do that. Trump was not. I think is the issue, right?
Sure, but I think even if that's true, it's not clear to me that the counterfactual where Trump doesn't negotiate is actually any worse. Because sure, maybe there's some moderate signaling effect or boost in North Korean credibility, but realistically, that's not actually going to have a material change in the security calculus of many leaders.
But I think the general message it sends to your allies is you're undermining their position on everything, and it seems like you're cozying up to an enemy, and it seems like you might be giving them a free pass to do some crazy stuff. I think that if we go back to those 4 years of Trump, maybe you can argue this is kind of Trump derangement syndrome. Does this really matter that much? And maybe if it stopped there, maybe there's an argument to be had with that. But last night, the American president just said that the rest of the world is going to be out of the Strait of Hormuz, and they could just buy oil at an increased cost to us. And I don't see how you can't view that as anything more than a continuation of his desire to meet with strong political leaders, do things unilaterally at the behest of his own ego, to the detriment of other allies in the region. Like, it seems like the same foreign policy that led to failed negotiations with North Korea is the same foreign policy that led us to abandon our Kurdish allies in Syria and led us to create an agreement in Doha with the Taliban that excluded the entire on and on and on.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
I think negotiating with the Taliban and making a deal with them ultimately was probably a good thing. Trump's deal was terrible. I think that leaving Syria was probably a good thing. The way that he did that and totally abandoned the Kurds to the Turks, I think, was horrible. I think there are good things that you can do, but like the cannibalistic babysitter is just not the way that I would go.
I think the problem though is again, we're not observing the counterfactual here, right? There was
it's history. I can't have a counterfactual, right?
Wait, that's how we have to do all moral analysis, right? Like you.
Well, but historically, I can never have a historical counterfactual.
Wait, but we can weight the approximate likelihoods of various counterfactuals, right?
Well, yeah, but to do that, I auto win because Trump did everything that people would have been worried about him doing after the North Korea thing, right?
Well,
Which is undermining allies and our alliances and everything else.
But that was totally unrelated to the negotiations within North Korea. So let's just take this scenario, right? Trump doesn't negotiate in North Korea, right? Broadly speaking, I think I agree. He doesn't accomplish much. I actually think that there was a little bit of rapprochement, or at the very least, there was at some point an offer on the table for some kind of sanctions relief, which didn't ultimately happen for various reasons or whatever, right? But at the very least, there's some positive signaling effect to future leaders that we're going to break the neoconservative consensus in Washington that we just need to be maximally hawkish on foreign dictators, regardless of whether or not that actually benefits.
Yeah, but he wanted to break the neoconservative consensus to engage in the neo-narcissistic agenda.
Well,
like,
sure,
you remember, I don't know if you read the New York Times article. You know that Trump tried to invade, what was it, the submersibles with the, you remember this, right? The Navy SEALs. There were like 12 of them that they tried to send to North Korea, and they ran into some issues, and they had to kill a few sailors, and then So
here's the look. Trump's foreign policy is extremely schizophrenic, and broadly speaking, I think it's going to be a huge detriment to the world. But I think it's worrisome that the Democratic Party's reaction to this is rarely ever seriously interrogating whether there might be a point with retreating a little bit from some of our hawkishness on these foreign dictators. And
I think
that's
a conversation we should have more as Democrats. I would agree with that. But I think we have to elect.
But I think if Trump forces us to have that conversation, then maybe that's actually a net benefit. Right? That if he forces us to seriously interrogate whether the neoconservative consensus
think about it. He's
is good
not
for those
forcing us to have the
people.
conversation. He's hurting our ability to have it in the future, because now the next U.S. president that steps in to have that conversation has all the baggage of the failed Trump negotiations beforehand. So if we wanted to bring Japan and South Korea in, to some kind of deal with North Korea or to have that conversation, they're going to think, well, the last time a U.S. president went down there, this dumb saluted their military and got literally nothing, and his own Secretary of State was complaining about how ineffective he was. Like, why would we follow the U.S.'s lead on this?
But you need to break the cordon sanitaire at some point, right? You need to.
I agree.
Break
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that Trump hurt that progress.
Well,
even by starting the thing, he hurt it.
So the problem is, without starting it at all, I think it would have been worse, because you preclude the ability of any future.
I don't know how to get through
this.
This like a logical thing. I think was I just talking to you about this earlier, where it's like, there's a problem, and if you take one step in any direction, somehow it's good because at least you've taken some step or whatever. But it's like, you can do things that make a problem worse.
No, but I think it was unequivocally a step in a positive direction to begin negotiations in some form with North Korea.
I super disagree, but
what do you point to as success coming from that?
I think the success was the fact that we no longer treat North Korea as some international pariah for whom negotiations are completely out of the question, because we say, South Korea will never tolerate negotiations of any kind, and we seriously begin to interrogate in the future whether or not some sort of mediated ceasefire and sanctions relief, and sanctions are materially hurting North Korean people on the ground, and they haven't seemed to meaningfully deter North Korean missile testing. They haven't seemed to meaningfully improve the security environment in the Asia Pacific. If anything, they've made it significantly worse. And so I think forcing a break, regardless of whether or not we ultimately in that instance accomplish that break, was probably a good thing in the long run, because it forces Democratic politicians to begin to adopt similar, less bellicose positions on North Korea.
Well, I haven't seen any progress in that direction. And I believe our leaders think that it's not worth talking to them right now until some new leadership takes hold, maybe his daughter in years from now, who knows. I look at what Joe Biden did under his foreign policy, and it seems that he's been justified in the moves he made. For example, not trying to appease Putin and putting these tough sanctions on him, another dictator. Now look at what Putin has been able to do with Trump in office. So talking to this guy is totally pointless and has accomplished nothing. So did that not rebuild your confidence, watching Joe Biden play masterfully on the world stage?
For one, I think you're dramatically overstating the case for Joe Biden's foreign policy.
Well, he got 2 strong new members into NATO. He completely boxed Russia in a corner. He demolished Iran's proxies and brought them to their knees.
Into NATO. You know, those countries were always going to join NATO after
some
sort
didn't.
of Russian invasion, right? Russia was literally invading Ukraine. I mean, come on. Like they're going to
wait. To be clear, there's no world where they join NATO if Trump was president, where he's constantly shitting on NATO always.
You don't think that they could have just pulled up to Trump and done like the Zoran thing, where they just send some hot guy in front of him as like, Trump, my brother, you got to let us into NATO, and then they let them in. I think one of the
there are only so many hot people that could be in front of Trump to capture his attention.
I think
Trump is a man that kicked every world leader out of the Oval Office so that he could have his one-on-one, on his bed, kicking his feet up, chatting with his best friend Putin. I don't know. Like, Trump has done all the things that people complained he would do, that are doing the bad things that are happening now, but you're saying that those things wouldn't have happened the same way if he would have been president 4 years earlier. Like, do you think Trump would have been behind a stronger NATO if Putin invaded Ukraine?
Probably comparatively weaker than Joe Biden, yeah. But
so how would that have encouraged people to join?
So I think regardless of the strength of NATO, those specific actors would have had extremely strong incentives to join, and NATO probably would have been willing to acquiesce and would have been willing to give Trump some concessions to join. And look, maybe
who even knows if Trump would have let them in?
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge assumption given the way he's treated our allies.
Yeah, Trump literally, the NATO has to be a unilateral vote. Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe Trump wouldn't even let him in.
Sure, fair enough. Maybe, maybe Trump doesn't let them in. But even if so, right? I think that I think that to argue that as a consequence of our NATO allies in particular, Joe Biden's foreign policy was a dramatic success across many of these fronts is, I don't know. It seems a little dubious to me when he hasn't made meaningful progress or more meaningful progress than Trump on issues like North Korea. And he hasn't made more meaningful progress on China, I don't think. And look, you can criticize Trump's Russia policy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like we're immediately abandoning all support for Ukraine. We have scaled back to some extent, but the extent to which the Democratic Party, I think, has been unwilling to seriously engage with whether or not there might be a merited case for isolationism to some extent is, at the very least, think is worth examination.
Well, that's fine. I'm sure people are looking at that, but I think I have to be led to believe in the end that there's just nothing we can do right now. They're not willing to talk to us, and there's nothing we can offer them, and they want to hold on to their little criminal empire running the country. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but I think at the very least it's worth looking at 2028 whether or not a Democratic candidate is going to have a better foreign policy on this front. So.
Yes, I agree.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Destiny, how are you doing?
Hey, I feel like I recognize you. What's up?
Is that an Uncensored America
Yes,
jacket?
sir.
Myron Gaines, too.
Well, we love Myron Gaines. We love Destiny.
Do we love Myron Gaines?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Well, my question's actually not about Myron. It's about James Fishback. Destiny. What happened to the debate?
Fuck James Fishback, too.
Did he cuck out the debate? What happened?
He dodged, apparently.
Oh, really? Do you think he's a serious candidate, or is he just trying to be a meme candidate?
You asked me that question when, I don't know what a meme is. Donald Trump is literally a living meme, so I don't know how I'm supposed to evaluate that.
Well, I mean, do you think his campaign's serious, or is he just grifting?
I didn't think Trump's campaign was serious. All 3 times, but I don't know. No, I mean, it seems like he's running a little bit as a meme, but it might just be when you're polling, because he's relatively unknown, you say anything to make a splash and get attention. But that seems to be, I think I just asked somebody, I haven't even looked, but doesn't he poll at 5%? Like, it seems like he has to do something to get attention, so, yeah.
Well, do you think then, because obviously I think open debate's great, we should debate anybody, and you do too, of course. But when somebody, if you believe they are a grifter or a mean candidate, whatever you want to call it, do you think it is worth platforming them or debating them, or is it just a waste of time?
I mean, it depends on the type of conversation you're going to have. Personally, there's a lot of factors you'd have to weigh there. Like, yeah. I would do it because I think a lot of the stuff he said is stupid and crazy, but I think a lot of what he says can also be kind of tied into the Trump admin and some of the big rifts of thought, at large on the right. So, I would debate him for that reason. But if he was just like a wacky random guy who thought that, the Earth was flat and, whales could speak telepathically to people or whatever, then I wouldn't personally, yeah. But I feel like he represents enough thought kind of on the right that it'd probably be worth arguing with him over it.
Yeah. Looks like you have something to say.
Yeah, I read that he changed his position on Israel just a couple years ago. He was very supportive of them before the 2024 election. Now he's riding that wave of anti-Israel sentiment. He also was the guy who came up with the $2,000 checks from the Doge dividend, which was obvious nonsense, never going to happen in a million years. That would take $2 trillion in savings by Doge, which everyone knew wasn't serious. So I don't think he's a very serious candidate at all. I think he's somebody who just wants a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Well, while I believe that he's a liar and he obviously has put up a front in an attempt to appeal to a younger audience, to talk to him would probably be worth it because, again, he reflects, I guess, the values of some alienated young men. Yeah.
Also, at Destiny, you have debated him before, right?
Yeah, but I don't think he was running for governor then. It was on Jubilee.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think, last question is, do you think there are any meme candidates on the left or anybody that's obviously a grifter, other than Hassan Piker, that you think is like a total grifter?
What's the question?
I said, do you think that there's anybody on the left that's like Fishback that's trying to run a campaign that's totally grifting, is not a serious candidate? I know a lot of you guys think Hassan's kind of like that, where he's just grifting.
Well, to be clear, Hassan's not running for office.
Well, yeah, yeah. But I mean, like in the influencer and political sphere.
I don't know about particular individuals, but there's always going to be a role for somebody to run as a losing candidate and be able to raise money and live the high life and get attention. That's what George Santos did. He accidentally won when he did that, but there's always going to be people out there that are coming in 7th place that are getting attention to raise their social media followers or money. So yeah, of course there's going to be people on the left. I can't think of anybody right now, but of course.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up,
Hello,
dude?
sir.
Thank you for doing this event.
For sure.
Sorry, Dustin, I have to break your no abortion rule. You'll be okay. Do you generally agree with the precautionary principle?
I don't know what this means, but my guess is going to be if you're likely to cause great harm on some side and it's like a 50-50 thing, you probably gravitate towards the thing less likely to cause harm.
Yeah, but just simply better safe than sorry. It's a general principle. Would you agree that, so you use the consciousness stance on abortion. Would you agree that if we do not know when consciousness begins in a fetus, that we should generally not do abortions then?
I would agree in a vacuum, but the issue is you're counterbalancing this with another right, which is for a woman's body to not be forced to incubate something for 9 months, right? So it's not, unfortunately, there are some things where like it's better safe than sorry. Like would I push a button knowing there's a 1% chance to kill somebody in the next room to get like $10? Like, well, even if it's just a 1% chance, it's probably not worth pushing the button. But if you're counterbalancing this against somebody else's like pretty fundamental important rights, I don't know if you can just appeal to like, well, better safe than sorry, because you could arguably make that same argument on the other side, right? Well, the fetus, it's one cell, like better safe than sorry, 1,000 cells probably isn't living, and why risk an entire woman's, autonomy for 9 months to preserve this?
So I would agree that when it's at one cell, when it's a zygote, that is clearly not conscious at that point. And I would also agree that like, if the chance was like 1 in a million that a fetus was conscious, then we should probably protect the woman's right to have an abortion. But the issue is that you need to really put a number on it. If you can't put a number on it, on what the percentage chance of a fetus being conscious is, then you just have a big question mark. And at that point, you're kind of behaving irresponsibly. And while I would agree that a zygote is not conscious because it doesn't have any functioning neurons, when you get to 6-week mark, that is when you do have functioning neurons. That is when the midbrain begins to form. Brain waves have been detected in fetuses or embryos as young as 6 weeks. And so at any point after 6 weeks, whether or not the fetus is conscious at that point is a question mark. And like I said, you really need to be able to put a number on what the chance is. If you want to counterbalance it like you're talking about, you need to know what the number is that you're counterbalancing, but we don't. We can't even put a range on it.
Well, we can probably put a range from 0 to 100.
Okay, but, yeah, sure, 100.
No, like I
mean within that range.
Again, I don't know if it's. I don't think I would appeal to that type of argumentation to say that. Just because I feel like the only way you can make that argument is if the counterbalanced right, like there are worlds where you could argue that even if it was conscious, a woman could still theoretically, morally have an abortion. So I like the idea that the bodily autonomy argument can be thrown away so easily there. I'm not fully convinced of that.
So I'm pushing on the conscious argument first. I can pivot to the bodily autonomy argument later. But right now, I just wanted to finish on the conscious argument.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make a separate argument. I'm just saying that is the counterbalanced right, and it's a big one at this case here, right?
Right, but don't you agree that in order to counterbalance it, like if you knew it was a 50-50 chance that the fetus is conscious and is thus a person per your standard, then you shouldn't have an abortion.
What I'm saying is that even if it's a 100% chance, there might still be an argument on the pro-choice side.
Okay,
so if it's 50-50, I think that's an easy.
So you want to go to the bodily autonomy argument then? You're abandoning the consciousness argument?
I'm not abandoning the consciousness argument. I'm saying that you're putting a question mark on one side, but you're not putting much of a question mark, or you're not considering the rights on the other side.
Well, no, I can talk about the bodily autonomy argument. I guess if you want.
I
can pivot to that. So for bodily autonomy arguments, the reductio.
He's like scrolling through the doc, dude.
Huh?
No, nothing, man. So don't worry about it.
I'm looking at my notes. Okay.
Are you anti-abortion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's approximately a 50-50 chance that the fetus is conscious.
No, I'm saying no. My point was there was a question. My question was, if you know it's 50-50 that it's conscious, then should you do an abortion? That was just a question. That wasn't a statement. So bodily autonomy arguments lead to a reductio that a woman can have an abortion at any point, even 1 week before. This is the reductio for that argument. And the vast majority of Americans, 87%, think that third trimester abortions are wrong.
I don't think that's necessarily true, because you can just have an early delivery, right?
True, but there are clinics that do abortions up to 34 weeks.
Sure, and I think it's worth discussing that, but that's not an argument against the moral principle, right?
No, it is, because I just said that you can do it 1 week before, and you said, well, they don't do that.
Okay, would you be okay with like the moral position of you can have an abortion up to when you can have a forced delivery, and once you can have a forced delivery, then you ought to have a forced delivery?
Are you asking if that's my position?
No, I'm saying would you be more okay with that moral position, I guess?
Whatever restricts abortion more so, I'm in favor of.
Okay, because I think that would be a defensible position, because you can just have an early delivery, right?
Well, to respond to your earlier point.
Sure.
So,
but why not look into the reason why people are having abortions in the first place and deal with that, which mostly comes down to financial situation, interrupting a career? Why not focus your attention on that instead of trying to convince people with this argument?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
If you want to bring down the number of abortions, why not deal with that in a practical sense?
I want to eliminate abortions.
Okay, but you can bring down the number of abortions dramatically by focusing on real-world solutions.
I mean, I haven't really finished. Like what? I'm not sure what your point is.
Like making sure women aren't interrupting their career by having a child, by making sure people's material means are addressed.
I mean, sure. If you want to.
Otherwise, it's just a masturbatory argument here. Like, well, let's get rid of abortion, but it's like let's stop having teenagers have sex. They're gonna have sex. So how do you bring that down?
To be fair, you haven't even let me finish my argument. You're just calling it masturbatory and kind of dismissing it. I haven't even finished making the argument yet.
Well, we're about 12 minutes into your argument, so when do we get to the core?
Well, if you keep.
Okay, wait. Here's my quick hypothetical to boil down the bodily autonomy thing. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, let's say that somebody was rolling a car towards you, and you could shoot them and stop them, right?
Yeah.
But let's assume that like you knew that the person didn't know they were going to roll you over, but you could shoot and stop them, right? There are times you can exercise self-defense where even the person is not aware that they're about to harm you, right? Would you agree with that that's ethical?
Yeah, if someone's going to try and run you over with the car, you can try to shoot them to stop them from killing you.
If somebody was wandering around and they were holding like a magical pregnancy wand, and you saw this guy wandering around and he was about to touch you with a magical pregnancy wand, and you knew that was going to commit you to 9 months of carrying a baby and delivering, would you have a right to like engage in lethal self-defense against that person, even if they were unknowingly about to tap you with a pregnancy wand?
It's arguable. It's an arguable position.
So I feel like how do you accept that and then?
Well, because that's a man with decision who is intentionally trying to harm you.
No, I'm saying if they don't know, they're just wandering around aimlessly they're blind with the pregnancy wand.
Well, I wouldn't shoot a person who's just wandering aimlessly.
If they were going to contact you with it?
Well, no. It's what he's doing to me is not a lethal. It's a serious harm, but it's not a lethal attack. I wouldn't use lethal force against someone who doesn't know what he's doing, and if he touches me, it's not lethal.
So if a guy was wandering around and he had like a long knife, but like you were near a hospital, it's not going to kill you, but you could execute him. You could do lethal self-defense. You would let him just walk into you and stab you in the abdomen, and knowing that you could go to the hospital and you could be okay afterwards.
Yeah, I would defend myself against a man with a knife. How does this apply to the argument?
A man with a knife who doesn't know that he's about to stab you, just wandering around darkly. The principle is you can enact lethal self-defense against people that might not even knowingly be about to harm you, but you can still do it to avoid harm.
To be fair, your example just now is a lethal attack.
No, I'm saying it's not going to kill you, right? It's just going to stab you, but you're near a hospital. I think the problem with the intuition here is most people say,
can you help me how this relates to the argument?
Well, because when you get tapped with a dick, the magical pregnancy wand that we use in biology, right? You're telling a woman that now she is like forcibly committed to 9 months of labor, or not 9 months of labor, but 9 months of like a pregnancy and bearing a child, and there's no way to protect the autonomy of their body in that regard. But I feel like we would enact lethal self-defense for lesser physical harms than pregnancy.
Okay, the bodily autonomy argument. So again, I'm just going to get back to my talking points because this is not clear to me what the point is. I'm sorry, this isn't clear to me how this is relevant. Okay, so again, I would like you to respond to this point. The bodily autonomy argument, the reductio for that is that it justifies abortion up to a week before. Do you agree with that?
I'm telling you that you can just deliver. You don't have to have an abortion a week before.
I'm asking you if you agree with that.
I would agree with that over a blanket ban on abortion, yes.
They're silencing him, everybody. They're silencing him. That's crazy.
You can give us your final point, and then the next person come on.
Okay.
Or your final.
So, the reductio of it is it allows abortion up to the end of the final week. You haven't really responded to that, I don't think. 87% of Americans believe that third trimester abortions are wrong. There are clinics in the U.S. that do abortions at 34 weeks, which is morally equivalent.
Elective abortion?
Yes.
Just any reason. 34 weeks.
I can.
Really?
I can show you. See, there's this lie that's pushed
Love to
around.
see it.
There's this lie. I will show you. There's this lie that's pushed around that says that most really late-term abortions are for medically necessary reasons. But if you actually look into the data does not support that. Okay.
You're telling me a 9-month pregnant woman can go into an abortion clinic in America and say, I want to go out this weekend, get this monster out of me.
There are abortion clinics that do.
Where?
In Maryland, in Washington, D.C., in Colorado. I can
say
show you.
for
You can shake
no
your head all you
reason.
want.
I guarantee I look into this, it's going to say that
you can shake your head all you
mental
want.
health evaluation.
Also, look up Dr. Warren Hearn, an abortion practitioner. He retired last year.
Where'd you say? Hold on. Where'd you say it was happening?
I'm sorry?
Where'd you say it was happening?
Look up Dr. Warren Hearn. Look up Dr. Warren Hearn.
No, not Dr. Warren Hearn. I want a Planned Parenthood clinic that administers.
I'm giving you a clinic. He's an abortion practitioner.
Okay.
Dr. Warren Hearn. He retired last year. He had a 50-year career. He did about 20,000 abortions, over 5,000 of which were late-term abortions. His reasoning for what he would do an abortion for, he said if he determined that abortion was safer than continuing a pregnancy, then he would do the abortion. He also believed that.
Whoa! What a monster!
Right, but if it's a person. And remember, the survival rate of pregnancy is over 99.9%. The survival rate for abortion is 0%. So if you just laugh at that,
he determined that this was safer to have this procedure.
Wait,
instead
is it
of the
really
pregnancy.
0%? Don't they always have some like failed aborted guy who's like they tried to abort me, but I crawled away or whatever? I feel like they have these people.
Okay.
Stop.
To be fair, it's not 0%, but it's much less than 99%. Would you
I
agree
feel
with
like
that?
generally they just deliver those babies.
And I'm telling you they don't, but you're not
Okay.
believing. I can show you the facts.
Okay.
Here, would it shock you to hear that we actually want to bring down the number of abortions as well? We join you in wanting to see there to be less. We do, but we understand, we acknowledge this is a tool that's used right now, but we want to bring down the number of abortions.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
Essentially, we're providing solutions and you aren't. That's that.
Yeah.
I'm just arguing against your position. You can reject or accept the argument.
Yeah,
That's
we're
up to
having
you.
a real conversation about elected politics. Like, there isn't going to be a lot of room for like a long-winded philosophical debate, right?
Okay, thank you.
Queen,
right, thank you, buddy.
Love you. You're the best. You're the best. Round of applause for her, by the way. Round of applause for her.
I'll go last. Go quick. I'll go last.
Come on, man. Don't be scared.
Destiny IRI.
What's up, bro?
What's up? Why are progressives and lefties hating on Gavin Newsom so much, despite his pretty progressive record? $25.
Because that's in their
minimum
DNA.
wage.
You got to hate on somebody. You can't stand for something. Like, you think Hassan Biker is going to get behind Gavin Newsom? If Gavin Newsom becomes the nominee, he's going to hate him.
What
I
about
think the issue is that people they're slowly starting to wake up to this, but the like far left people like socialists are not, I don't think, in the same team as like the Democrats. They like to pretend they are sometimes because otherwise they don't have like a political party or a voice, but they're not really on the same team. So that's why they often conflate both parties. They say the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. They all support Epstein. They all support billionaires. They're all AIPAC takers or whatever. And when that's like your perspective, obviously you're going to attack any mainstream Democratic figure. Like, some of them have attacked Mamdani. A lot of them don't like AOC or Bernie anymore. Like, that's just how those people function.
Why are they so disillusioned with the system? Like one guy told me that if I support Democrats, I just want to go back to the status quo. I just that I want to go back to slavery. Like,
well, in
how
all
do you respond
fairness,
to that?
the system has let them down. It's mostly young people, and the system has let them down for years. They're getting creamed by student loans. They're not able to buy a house, can't start a family, not able to find a job. So I don't blame them for losing hope in the system. But I think it's structural issues like gerrymandering that need to be addressed, disproportionate representation in the Senate. These are the real problems, not the capitalism or the leaders of the Democratic Party.
Destiny, you talked about these parallel structures that need to be built to support Democrats. How can these be built with these lefties constantly attacking like their own side? Or
well, I think
Democrats?
part of building them is having like a strong center-left foundation of thought. Like we don't really have thought leaders between elections. We don't really have thought leaders in the Democratic Party. We just, if we win the presidency, we have a president that we all kind of get behind, but then when that's gone, the thought just completely evaporates. Whereas when you look at the Republican Party, they constantly have these think tanks churning stuff in the background, you know? Project 2025 was cooked up, you know, I don't know if most of it was cooked up in that offseason between Trump and Biden, but like this is a whole project that was cooked up for a guy who's functionally cognitively impaired to go into office and still basically enact what, like 52% of Project 2025 has been enacted so far because conservatives have that ideology built out, and the Democrats just have to do this.
I just want to say quickly, it's a boogeyman. That's why people like Hassan will just give people a boogeyman instead of actually getting involved and putting in work and trying and solving problems. They just have a boogeyman, someone to blame. I think it's no better than the MAGA of undocumented people or trans people or whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Round of applause for him, guys.
I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm 45. Ever since I could vote, it's always been Democratic. But at this point in time, I don't have a party. I don't necessarily agree with what the Republicans are doing fully, but I can find many examples that I'm completely fine with, if not happy about. And that is going to scare many Democrats away to even possibly say words like that. But then I look at the Democratic Party, and I'm just, the word I say is disillusioned. The direction, what's important, you know, the loudest voices. I always have this conversation with my buddy here. Known him since high school. He's a strong Democrat. I just can't associate myself with the way the party is going. And I can't go to the Republican Party either. And I can't go to an independent party because they have an agenda as well. And I can't go to the Green because they have an agenda. And I'm somebody who went to Humboldt State, who was very green, very liberal.
But what's an
tree
example?
hugger in the sense that I used to embrace that term.
But what's an example of being disillusioned with the party?
See, I was asked that question earlier, and that is a very long conversation. If I can think of something off the top of my head, it probably won't even be the strongest point because I'm not here ready to, with the ammo ready to go.
Well, but listen, I think the Democratic Party is standing for making life more affordable.
Sorry.
I think the Democratic Party is standing for making life more affordable. I don't think they're doing anything extreme or anything crazy. If you listen to Fox News, you'll think that we're run by AOC or something.
But see, here's the problem. And I run into this with my buddy all the time. Right now, I can't listen to just CNN. I can't listen to MS Now, which are no longer MSNBC. I can't listen to Fox News. I will tell you that for the first time in my life, I'm actually starting to watch a little bit of Fox News, which tells you where I've come from. Because I was at a point in the past where Fox News changed that channel. I can't even possibly listen or even give them a chance. But what's interesting is I'll talk to him about the No Kings Now protest that just happened. And he'll be praising it. He'll say all these wonderful things. And I'll say, well, wait a minute. What about the violence that happened? And he'll immediately say, I haven't seen any of that. And I will say, what channel are you looking at? Now, I know, before you respond, Fox News is going to focus on the violence. I get it.
Of course.
I've been there, done that. I used to be a big hater of them. And the only reason I tune them in now is because I feel like I'm getting a little bit more of the actual story. Biased, but then CNN is biased. It's all about ratings. So it's whatever that's gonna get that higher viewership as opposed to actually giving me information. And before you chime in, sorry, you asked me to go to the mic. Before you chime in, it's like the days of Walter Cronkite, and that's before my time. But the idea of somebody like him, and probably a lot of people behind me have no idea who he is, and again, he's before my time. but he actually presented you the news. And I know there was a Supreme Court case, can't cite it to you for right now, that indicated that the news stations actually don't have to tell us the news, which is ridiculous. But the point is now it doesn't matter if it's CNN, if it doesn't matter if it's MS Now, it doesn't matter if it's Fox News. It's about how can I get ratings, how can I feed the red blood, or how can I feed the blue blood? So my problem, and I don't even know if this is a question, but I'm glad to give you some, some filling time, is how can somebody like me who's completely disillusioned from the party that I've always been with, I don't even know where to go at this point. And I'll just throw this last part in. It's okay to be content or acceptable of something that Trump does. He is not the devil. And when somebody tells me he's the devil, you lose me, because you're not actually really thinking critically. You're on the surface. So, and then when somebody tells me Kamala Harris is the devil, same thing. You're on the surface. So what do you have advice? Here's my question. Your advice, sir. Sorry for taking up all your time.
You're good, bro.
What is your advice for somebody like me that is so disillusioned with all of it? And when I hear the priorities of the left or the right, it's, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't, if that makes sense.
I hear you, man.
Wait, can I answer a little bit? I got so triggered I had to come up here, okay?
All right.
Not really, though. But
I'm glad to bring it.
Yeah. So I just want to explain a quick thing, and then I just have a question, okay?
Sure.
So my naive understanding of propaganda 10 years ago was the idea is, internationally, especially concerning Russia, the idea is you make the other side look bad and you make yourself look good. You make the other side look not credible and you make yourself look credible. And I thought that this is kind of how the world worked when it came to propagandizing people. And I had an Eastern European friend, and they explained to me, because sometimes I remember there was one thing that happened where there was like a reporter standing somewhere and a grenade went off, and it was like very clearly like not real. Like it was obviously staged. And in the West, in America, we're kind of like laughing at it, and it's like, I can't believe these like stupid Russians can believe this dumb stuff. But what the explanation that I got was that, especially in that world, like foreign propaganda is not meant to make your side look credible and the other side look uncredible. It's supposed to make everybody look equally silly. Because the idea being that if you know they lie, and we're honest that we lie, we're honest liars, you know that we're lying, at the very least you're probably going to trust your liars because you know that the other side is probably lying for their benefit, and ideally your side is lying for your benefit. And that was a really interesting concept, because then because it reframes how sometimes I see how foreign people view their own government's propaganda. Because I'm thinking before, wow, you guys are dumb. But what they're thinking is, well, no, we know our government lies, but we're smart enough to know that about your government, but you're an idiot and you don't understand that about your government. That would be like the perspective. So with that explanation in mind, you were asking about CNN, and you were saying, well, everybody's got a spin, everybody kind of like lies, everybody kind of does stuff. I submit to you, my argument is that that mentality is what the Conservative Party has tried to trap Americans in for the past 3 decades. Like, left-leaning media doesn't get things perfect all the time, but if you were to compare the scale of lies, it's not even, we're like orders of magnitude away. So the question that I would have for you, I would look at one of the lies that I would say on the right-leaning side, and there are a multitude of them, but one of the larger ones I would say was, in 2020, Donald Trump was invested in getting everybody to believe that if the votes turned out to favor Biden, that they would be fake. And he started a year in advance on that lie. And all of the people at Fox News, all of them knew it. They were communicating back and forth with them. They were helping to optimize and spread those lies on TV, and they did it because they knew they were losing audience to Newsmax and OAN. This isn't a conspiracy. Well, in the strictest sense, it is a conspiracy, but it's not like a wacky conspiracy theory. We know all of this because of all the discovery that came out when Dominion sued Fox News. So I guess my question is, that was a major news network with some of the largest anchors on the planet, on the largest cable news network in the United States, that was working directly with the president in order to sell a lie to the American people to win an election that they all knew was false. What can we think of? Is there anything, like on the CNN, Washington Post, New York Times side, the MS Now side, that's even remotely comparable to, I guess, to that level of lie?
Absolutely. I mean, it's. I'll go with, and you said it first this morning. I think you called him. I forgot what you said about Biden, but it was right on. It actually got me listening.
He's geriatric. He wasn't able to be a cheerleader
That's what
for
I'm talking
the
about.
team.
So
Yeah.
the geriatric candidate. There are people within CNN. There are people within his circle. There are people who went on CNN who acted like nothing was wrong. That everybody, that what you're seeing is not true. Those were all lies. So when you're saying before you chime in, but when you're saying, and I completely agree with you, there are people on Fox News who are literally knowingly telling a lie to progress an agenda. But when you sit there and say that they're the ones who are only doing it, or I think maybe you said started it, but even if they started it, somebody else is finishing it. So
not started it. So like in terms of the geriatric thing, right? So the question is not, is Biden slow, is Biden old? The question is like, is he senile or incapable of doing the job? And I know
think
this
the
is like,
answer is clear on that.
I understand that that's the saying that everybody says, and I know I'm literally a man on a island out here. I don't even know if Guy will side me with here. There was no evidence that Biden was truly incapable of performing or doing the job.
If
now,
you're talking about evidence, I was not in the hospital. I was not with the psychiatric doctor
sure,
to look at
I'm aware
that,
of that. I'm
but
just saying that Biden...
We all have evidence based on what we can see.
We did see a really bad debate performance. But what I'm saying is that
more than that.
Even if you... Well, was there more than that, though? Because no other world leader had a complaint about this. Nobody. It didn't seem like there were dysfunctional parts of government.
Here's the problem with the president, and some people back in the day would call this elitist because, believe it or not, I think Obama was an amazing president. So people called him an elitist, and I used to tell people, what is wrong with the president being an elitist? The president of the United States should be the best friggin' person we possibly have. So what does that equal? He is somebody who's the smartest, or at least pretty damn close. Somebody who speaks multiple languages.
Just to be clear, I'm not going to argue that Biden was perfect, and definitely Biden was. He was slow enough.
But he's the president of the United States.
I agree
and
with you.
I'm not saying that Trump is.
I agree with you, and I agree. I even go as far.
But I don't get the choice.
I understand.
Of more people.
I even would go as far as to agree that Biden, the appearance of Biden being senile or slow, was enough to maybe have him not as the president, right? I can even go as far as to agree with you for that. But look at the difference between after he had that debate performance, so much of the Democratic Party came together to kind of say, like, in a really historic manner, even though you got more votes than any president in U.S. history, even though you beat the same guy that's about to run again, you have to step back because it's too much. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is on Fox News bragging that he passed 3 cognitive tests in a month. Meanwhile, he's got, like, his hand is, like, falling apart. We've got weird they lied and they said it was from shaking hands. We've got rashes all on his neck that we don't know what it's from. He's got IVs that are constantly going into him. He's getting MRIs. There's just so much stuff. Again, I'm not trying to sell you that one side is...
We can agree that Trump is not the best
I'm not trying
president.
to tell you that one side
is...
I'm not trying to tell you that one side is perfect and the other side is like fundamentally broken. I'm just saying that like we've lost the ability to have an appreciation for how unimaginably fucked one side is and how like the other side is definitely not perfect.
But think of this attack, and this goes towards Kamala Harris, and this might be easy. I don't know, but essentially, you have a primary, you go through a process, you have voters voting in each individual state. Whether it's Ohio, they have a caucus, I think it's called. They do this crazy thing from archaic times, which I still don't understand how they can still do that. But the point is that you go through a whole process, and then Biden bows out. And they made a decision at that point in time. Are we going to have a Democratic convention where it's going to get crazy? We're going to get people actually voting and people really engaged in the process? Or are we just going to scoot the vice president candidate to that position that nobody voted for? And you'll say, I know your rebuttal will likely be, well, she's on the VP candidate, so they're technically sort of voting for her. No, they're not.
Sure.
They're voting for her as maybe being a secondary person with the hope that never she'll have to be used. Because when was the last time the vice president was used?
But nobody,
an assassination. Probably Kennedy was the last time.
Nobody threw their hat in the ring to run against her. Everybody was happy, and everybody was fine with
because of the party line.
No.
Because
I'm talking average voter. Do you have respect for Bernie and AOC? I have a feeling you appreciate Bernie.
I appreciate Bernie.
Okay.
I used to appreciate AOC, not where she's gone.
But my point, Bernie was one of the first people after that debate to support Biden, full stop. Say, he's our candidate, he's our guy, we're all behind him.
He's a little biased, though, because then he had a heart attack and everybody wanted him out. So he's probably just kind of, I shouldn't have been kicked out. He's basically being consistent.
I think one thing to keep in mind, regardless of what happened related to Kamala and Biden, like there are times when there are difficult decisions, and I think if we're truly being honest, like if they would have had a primary, I probably would have been okay with it. If they would have appointed basically Kamala to run, I was okay with that. I think that no matter what, I think it was going to be a difficult choice because we're like in unprecedented times. You have a president who people now have deemed unfit for office, and you've got like 120 days to figure out like what are we going to do. Like I'm willing to say there are some decisions that are difficult, and I could even maybe concede that sometimes on the conservative side. But like compare that to like we started a war with Iran with no. I don't even know if we had mission objectives. We had the head of the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, said that the decision to go was made solo by D.C., that they weren't the ones that told them that there was an imminent attack from Iran. We've got her saying that Israel and the United States apparently have different objectives in this mission. We have Pam Bondi is gone now. We had the...
Is she gone?
Yes, I believe
Officially?
there were news reports like 2 hours ago. We have Kristi Noem, who's gone because ICE is going to states to execute people. I'm just saying that, like, regardless of like the criticisms between Kamala and Biden and whether they could have approached it differently, it was legitimately, that was a tough call. There was a really tough, since Biden won the primary in 2020, it's a very, very, very difficult decision. On the Republican side, these are unforced errors after unforced errors of like abysmal, horrible, like just completely impeachable behavior, like on a moral level.
See, you lost me right there. So impeachable behavior. The President of the United States has a right to do a lot of this. And if you're talking about impeachable behavior with regard, I mean, you said a lot. So
do you think he should be able to pursue political? He's firing Pam Bondi because she wasn't able to.
That's awful. That's disgusting.
Okay,
but not necessarily impeachable.
Why not? That's what impeachment is for. Is to remove a president who's abusing his.
Something held a bit stronger. I mean,
for
we're talking about
his
high
Department
crimes
of
and
Justice?
misdemeanors is the statement. I don't know of a high crime or misdemeanor to talk shit. Excuse me for my language. To talk smack about your political opponent.
Wait, he's not
it's
talking
awful.
smack though. He told his attorney general to go fabricate indictments against those people to arrest them.
But it's not a high crime and misdemeanor. So when you see, this is where you lose somebody like me. And I've seen you before. I've seen you on TikTok. I don't mean any disrespect at all. I'm letting you know where you lose somebody like me who is disillusioned with the party is when you start saying those big words like impeachment. I'm sitting there saying, where's the high crime or misdemeanor?
The high crime we cannot survive as a nation if the president can order.
Argument.
It's
not.
No,
high crime and
impeachment
misdemeanor.
is how we remove a president from power who is not performing the job in the way that we would expect him to perform it.
That's what voting is for.
No, we can't outvote a president that's currently in office. Impeachment is the tool to remove him.
I get it. So he won.
That doesn't mean he gets to abuse the office, though.
I get it. You don't like what he's doing.
No, it's not a matter of don't like. It's the country cannot survive.
Of what he's doing.
The country cannot survive the president doing political prosecutions of his enemies, doing criminal prosecutions.
The country has constantly survived presidents doing this.
Name one time in our lifetimes where this has happened.
Let's go back to Nixon. I mean, that guy tried to rig an election.
And he resigned, and the entire country recognized that as wrong. He was being criminally investigated.
All is good.
What?
And then his VP pardoned him. All is good.
He was pardoned with the understanding that he was going to be criminally charged with his behavior. The whole country knew it was bad. Most of the country doesn't view what Trump has done with the Department of Justice as being a bad thing.
And it's
but
an
he
example
resigned.
Of where the country
he was impeached.
It's an example of where the country has come because at that point in time, if you did something stupid, if you had a scandal, you resigned in disgrace, but you still resigned. Whereas now, nobody's doing that anymore except for maybe Al Franken. I mean, he was the last person I remember doing that.
He shouldn't have done it. Here,
he should not have done
it,
asked, especially in the culture we're in.
You said, what's my advice? I'll tell you, the cavalry is coming. And I was making the point earlier that we did not have a cheerleader for our party. We had a geriatric candidate, then we had this mess with Kamala Harris. But the times are changing, and people don't know what the Democrats can do when they have an energetic leader who is going after Trump. And we're about to take over the House of Representatives. And sure. I would ask you to just wait and see what the Democrats do, because they're going to show you exactly what's going on here, and they're going to prove to you that this guy is bad news. And I understand your point. You said, I'd rather listen to Fox because at least they're honest with their lies.
I added to the equation.
Well, I understand your point, and I respect it. I get it. But I'm just telling you that the idea that Biden wasn't capable, as Destiny said, those are Fox News lies. There's no evidence to support that Biden wasn't able to do his job. In fact, our country did very well under Biden in his last year. We had 2.8% GDP. Compare that to 2.2% now. We created 181,000 jobs last year. 1.5 million under Biden in his last year. And you say he wasn't competent and able to do his job?
I say that he put the right people in the right positions, not necessarily
But that's the biggest part of the president.
But the problem is when the president is non-existent, I'm glad he put the right people in the right positions, but the president needs to be, as I said, call me an elitist as you want. I need the best potential American. And I'm not, again, saying that's Trump, but I'm saying that's not Biden. I'm saying that's not Kamala Harris. It's not AOC. It's somebody who might bring us all together, who have differences. And everybody that I see, whether it's the Republican or the Democratic side, they don't have it.
Oh, come on.
And what's angering me the most is that I've been such a devout Democrat for so long. And the priorities of the Democratic Party pushes me more to the right, even though I disagree with so much they have to say. And I'm just telling you, as somebody who has been there for so long, remember this, because the priorities that have been pushed, it's not the right way. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't embrace and accept people. Yeah. That is a longer
Wait, what are the priorities that you feel like the Democratic Party is pushing on that are going the wrong way?
I mean, I'll start. I guess not the easy, but the first thing that comes to mind is immigration. Okay. So we have a country of immigrants. That is wonderful. We have give us your tired, give us your poor in a time period where we had this massive frontier that we needed to fill it. We don't have that country anymore. So anytime that anyone goes back to those old slogans, that was beautiful at the time. Times change, and we have to be reflective on what we have in front of us. And so when you say let's have open borders, which I know is an exaggeration, but when you say let's let all these people in, it's a beautiful thing. But if you actually look at the numbers, we will never be able to save the world. There is way too many people that need to be saved for us to save the world. So what we should actually be doing is trying to save our country, and in the process, maybe trying to save some people during that time. But the way the Democrats seem to be taking that direction is we need to just save the world and not think about it, not actually think about statistics and the way things actually work. That's my problem with the immigration policy. And for the first time, and here's something that I'm going to praise Trump for, and I don't necessarily like how he got there, but I like the result. I like that we have a slow trickle coming over our border right now. I like that fact. Because honestly, I think we should start bringing. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you because you want to join in. Well, but I think we should be focusing a lot of our money and time, what's going on here, as opposed to sending it all the way out there.
What was the extra ask from Congress? Was it $200 billion for the first few weeks of the Iran war?
But you're going to the Iran
what did they
war.
cut to make
I'm
the one big beautiful bill? Was it
right
was it
now.
Medicaid that they
I'm
tried to cut there? Right,
$1 trillion.
What was the how was it
Medicaid.
$90 billion for ICE? Right, it was $90 billion, right?
Okay,
how
so
much
what
money
is
did Doge
ICE?
find?
ICE enforces our borders.
No, they don't. First of all, ICE is for interior enforcement. They don't enforce the borders. Number one. Number two,
what they actually do, because I'm just.
Well, apparently they run around to states and they kill U.S. citizens, I guess, and then they get kicked out of the states and they get shielded by the federal government.
Who put themselves into the line of fire. I'm not saying that they should
Alex
have been
Preddy,
killed,
in any other circumstance, would be
worshipped
worshipped as a conservative hero.
Actually do their job.
Be worshipped as a conservative hero who
going to work and caring for their children right now.
Okay, I'm getting Fox News talking points on rapid fire right now.
I don't.
Well, no. So here's the frustrating part. This is the frustrating part. Okay. Okay.
It's
Do you wanna,
just
the frustrating part. The frustrating thing is that you're wrong on so many unimaginably fundamental levels. Even if you cared about immigration, I know. I'm talking about immigration right now. I'm talking about immigration right now. America has the best immigrants in the world. Not even due to any whatever. It's just because one, there's oceans between us from other continents, and our immigration process is relatively strict. Even under Biden, getting into the United States has always been decently challenging. This idea that we have immigration to save the world. This idea that we have immigration to save the world. How do you feel about the fact that Trump lied about 30 million illegals coming in here under Biden?
Again,
how do you feel about the fact that Trump lied about 30 million?
Trump to
how
me,
do you
I
feel?
will
I'm just
agree
asking.
with you.
No, I'm just asking you. I'm asking you a question.
He's
How do you feel about the fact that Trump lied about 30 million illegals coming in?
I mean, I'll say what I say to. I left it. There you are. I'll say what I say to him all the time. If you're challenging me with a question about Trump lying, I will say par for the course. Trump.
I'm just asking
constantly.
you a simple question. How do you feel about that?
Awful.
Okay, that's good. Number one.
Easy.
Number two, going by their estimates, they say they've removed 2 million people this year. That's if you believe their estimates.
I'm pushing for him to reach Obama's numbers.
That's fine. Do you
I'm
believe
hoping
that
he gets?
I'm not asking about
hoping
Obama.
he can be as good as Obama on immigration.
Do you believe?
I'm really pushing for our
Donald Trump
president
says
on that
0 new people have come in illegally over the past year. Do you think that number is accurate?
I think it's not. If you said 0, no. That's why I said
that's what he says. Trump says 0.
Again. Par for the course. Liar.
So he lies. So why are you happy now with his immigration policy when you just admitted that you can't trust any of the numbers? How do you even know how many people are coming in?
I can't trust any of the numbers.
Okay.
I admitted that he's a liar.
So he lies about the numbers on the border. 30 million people probably didn't come in. We know 0 didn't come in illegal over the past year and a half. That's insane.
Be quite
right?
impossible.
And he says he's deported 2 million a year. So you can't trust any of the numbers. How do you even know anything about the border being improved?
like I said, like
because
Biden
Fox News has
put
told
the-
you to think
I'm
this.
not saying that Trump put every right person in their role.
I never said
but
that
he
Trump said that.
definitely
But what is
put-
this Nirvana? No,
I'm saying that Biden
no,
put the right
stop.
people in
You
the-
got to be able
if
to
you let me
engage. You
finish
have
my
to be able to
point,
engage
I
with the
would
words that
let-
I'm
I
saying.
would
This
be
is
able
just
to
like
finish,
Fox
but
News talking
you
points
keep
on
going.
rapid fire. Okay. What I'm saying is that Trump has lied about all of these things. We had a border bill under Biden that had been workshopped for like 2 years in order to address the problems. Trump torpedoed it because he wanted to keep the border open. He actually wanted open borders to run on as an election issue. He came into office. There is no border bill under Trump. I was telling people a year and a half ago, there will be no border bill under Trump.
So-
There's not. We got a weak executive order to temporarily close the border, something that bill would have allotted for. We're not working our way through the backlog of asylum seekers here. He didn't provide any more funding or judges to do the asylum backlogs. ICE has been a catastrophic waste of money, which if you care about spending money on the American citizens, it was the most ineffective way of possibly funneling money into anti-immigration stuff. All it did was it made Americans even more pro-illegal alien. So if immigration was the thing you cared about, I don't know why a president who has squandered resources and lies about all of the stats and numbers and will not pass any legislation and literally torpedo legislation to address the illegal immigration numbers, I don't know why that would be the subject that you're like, I like Trump on this thing. It doesn't make sense in any way, size, shape, or form.
I got you, and I will tell you why if you let me get it in. So essentially, I've had this conversation with a buddy of mine as well to my right. Maybe he'll get up at the mic in a moment. But the point is that, you know, his argument is that there's no actual legislation that's happened. It's been all executive orders. And so his question to me is always, would that be considered a failure? And my answer to him is, well, the legacy might be considered a failure. But if the outcome currently is not a failure, then it's not. And to keep going to what you were saying, so, you know, you can't trust these numbers. You can't. What I was trying to say earlier is, like I said earlier, even Biden having the cognitive difficulties that he had, he put certain right people in the right positions. And I'm not sitting here saying that Trump has put all the right people in the right positions, but I will say that he's put some very good ones in certain positions. At least
The head of DHS just got fired. What are you talking
I didn't say
about?
anything about
Name
that
one.
one.
Name one.
You're pointing at you're basically saying, oh, here's one Trump cabinet, so they're
It's
they're
the
taken
one that's
out.
in charge of the Department of Homeland Security, which has
Okay.
ICE under it, which I imagine is the one
If
you'd be
that's
talking
for the
about.
little win, that's for the win you're going for on this argument, but that's not what
The
I'm
win is you
actually
just said that he
saying.
put the right. Who was it? Was it Homan with the $50,000 bribe or whatever? Was
Yes.
this the right guy?
Tom Homan,
the
yeah.
guy who sat next to Eric Adams that they tried to extort
Yes.
with the criminal stuff in order to
Like
get the
I
New York
said
City
in the
right?
beginning, some of the right people. If
No,
you
but
actually
hold on, listen to what-
if you actually listen to what I'm saying, and I get it, and it's difficult. This is my problem with
No,
Democrats.
stop! Dude, you got to stop doing this. The
Anything
gaslighting is way too
positive
much.
I
No,
say-
it's not about anything positive.
Anything positive
No,
I
you're
say
saying
about
because
him
you're
or his
saying
cabinet,
nonsense. You're
it's
saying
closed
nonsense.
doors.
Because you're saying nonsense, things that don't make any sense.
But listen,
He's
let it-
telling
let-
you
I
that
mean,
he's telling you
it's-
Trump
you're
fired
ready
the
to
woman in
fight.
charge
You're
of the
ready to-
border.
Sorry?
He's telling you that Trump fired the woman in charge of the border, Kristi Noem. So how good of a job
I'm
could
not
she have
here
been
to
doing?
defend Kristi Noem.
But it's his immigration policy was a failure.
When I said about immigration, I said the actual result, not who's leading it or who's saying what or who's the loudest voice. I'm saying the result of what we're actually seeing.
But what are the results? We've seen unemployment go up.
Sorry? You got real close. I'm too close? No, you need to get closer. Oh, I need to get closer.
What results have we seen that are
You need
so
to kiss
impressive?
the mic, basically?
Our GDP is down. Our economy is shrinking. Americans are losing jobs. We're suffering because of Trump's terrible immigration policies kicking these people out. We're seeing Americans gunned down in the streets.
So going back to what I was saying about immigration. So simply stated, as to make it very clear, I'm not sitting here saying Kristi Noem is a great person. I'm not sitting here saying that every single person that Trump has nominated.
Why do
to
you
be-
keep wasting time saying that? We're not saying that you're saying that. We're saying that the people that you're pointing to are
If you don't
bad,
wanna
and then you
hear
keep
what
saying,
I
"Well, I'm not
actually
saying
have
they're all
to say,
perfect."
then I don't even know why I'm standing here.
No, but you're
Because
not-
I'm trying to actually clarify, but you don't care to actually hear it, and that is part of the problem of why I'm in the position I'm in. You've already decided. That is actually the definition of all of
This
it.
is the podcast
You-
circuit brain rot. Is that like
you-
having a
you
conversation
already
if somebody
have the
says something that's
answers.
wrong, and then
You-
the other person says something and yes ands them, and then it's
No.
just yes and yes and yes and
You
yes and
need
yes
to
and
take
yes
your
and
own
yes and.
advice, honestly, because anytime that I have mentioned something that triggers you, and I'll just use the word trigger because you're ready on it. It's instead of saying, "Oh, that's an interesting point,"
It's
you're
not interesting, it's
automatically
wrong.
right.
You're just
Your
saying wrong thing.
perspective is
No, we're right
automatic,
because we are
and that's
correct.
part of the problem.
You said
you're
that
not
Trump was
listening
doing
to a
good for
different
immigration on the border.
perspective.
We pointed out that the person in charge of the Department of Homeland Security literally got fired. So that's an interesting
I'm
thing
not
to point
talking
to.
about her. You are.
So you're just
I
so
never
you're just
mentioned
happy
her
that
name.
so you're just happy.
I never mentioned her name. I mentioned a policy. I never mentioned a specific person.
The policy is an executive order on the border that can be rescinded. That you admitted he's lying about the effects of. He's lying about the outcome of. He's not even being honest.
I said in the very first thing that I said before I spoke about immigration, I'm not necessarily okay with how he got there. If somebody's recording, they're going to be able to play it back. I'm not exactly happy with how it got there. I'll say it a third time just to make sure how it got there. But I'm happy with the result.
If he nuked Mexico and turned it into a barren wasteland to secure the southern border, would you say, I'm not happy how he got there, but at least we don't have any more people coming over?
Man, history is filled with. It's difficult and sad how we got there.
This is the Joe Rogan brain.
But
it has to be the Joe Rogan brain.
I mean,
wait, have you seen every episode of Joe Rogan, or like 95% of them? I can't. This is crazy to me.
What are these results that you're so happy with?
I ask you to listen more to opposing views.
But what are these results that you're so happy with?
Once we stop, sorry for 1 second, but once we stop listening to the opposing view, you're automatically right. You don't need to you don't need to innovate. You don't need to change. You don't need to actually embrace differences. And I know the Democratic Party is all about differences.
Well,
but when
listen,
it comes
this is
to
a great
opinion
speech,
or politics, that's the stop of differences.
Okay,
and get diversity in your politics. Because you'll get somebody back like
this sounds great, but what Destiny's trying to do is help you. You are inundated with misinformation and lies, and we're trying to help you, nudge you back to the flock
because you're automatically right. And that's the problem.
It's not would it surprise you to hear that Joe Biden actually shut down the border, not Donald Trump?
Let me go back to what he was addressing.
Okay, you don't want to engage with the facts.
Let me address that about the border and what happened
under Biden. You just want to live in your
Biden.
lies, and that's fine.
So this was something that I wanted
to
say, and if anybody wants to take the mic, please do. I'm hogging it. But the point is about what you said is that Trump did derail any kind of new legislation. Absolutely. When Biden was in power, there was a Democratic initiatives in the Senate, I believe in the House as well, where they wanted to add more teeth to the border protection. Absolutely. And Trump got to the Republicans and said, you guys are morons if you help them because it's going to make Democrats look good in the election. Again, not a Trump supporter. I can actually call out the problems with Trump. I think the problem with Democrats is they don't do that with each other. But hang on, let me finish what I was saying.
Biden
is that when it comes to when it comes to that situation, the one thing that Trump has done to actually make Democrats look really bad at the border, he hasn't added any legislation to the border. Yet he's enforcing it so much stronger than Biden did.
So in a sense,
he's actually living up to what he said. Don't like what he did, but he's not using any new legislation whatsoever, and he's achieving more border security than Biden did.
No.
That's fact.
No, Trump is actually creating illegal immigrants from within. He's canceling temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of people like Venezuelans. Where are those people going to go? They're going to go in the shadows. So who needs an open border when you can just cancel legal status in the country and create illegal immigrants from within?
We've taken out the person that actually made most Venezuelans leave their country. My wife is Brazilian. I go to Brazil every single year, and there was a massive influx of Venezuelans into Brazil.
So
why?
Hold on.
Because of Maduro.
Before you tell us the story. Before you tell us, can you engage in my point that Trump is canceling legal status for hundreds of thousands of people who are now going to become illegal immigrants? They're not going home to Venezuela. So what does it mean for the border to be closed if you're just going to allow illegal immigrants to be created from within?
Give me 60 seconds. I apologize. This guy's going to take the mic in a moment. I just want to address your question one more time, sir. I apologize.
Sure. What does it matter if Trump closed the border if he just creates illegal immigrants from within by canceling people's legal immigration status?
Well, if we fund the actual people who are supposed to do their job, then they will remove those people back to their original country.
No.
That is how it's supposed to work.
That's a fantasy. It's not going to happen.
In a way, yes, you're right.
Okay.
But the way the law enforcement is actually supposed to work, and I'm a proud person of law enforcement. You know, you can hate law enforcement all you want, but if you're in trouble, that's the first person you're calling, unless your uncle or your father has a weapon. So law enforcement is something we should actually embrace. They're not always right.
Well, I don't know what ICE has to do with law enforcement.
Job.
Yeah, ICE did its job under Biden,
the people
too.
that shouldn't be here. So if Trump eliminates the status for certain individuals because they should not be here, not necessarily sitting here saying that every one of those is correct, but let's just say the ones that are correct. That's what ICE is supposed to do.
That's not what he's doing. People are here legally for years under temporary protected status. Hundreds of thousands of people that have built lives here, businesses, are working legally. And he's canceling that status, and they're going to go in the shadows and become illegal immigrants.
Let me ask you a question. What country do you like? It's a rhetorical, but just quick question. What
Iceland.
Iceland, great country. If you went into Iceland and defied their laws and did not follow their immigration policy, would you be surprised if they kicked you out?
That's to their detriment to kick me out.
Okay, understood. That is a different argument. But would you be surprised that
No,
they kicked you out?
not at all. I would
and
expect
that's why
them
I'm
to.
not surprised that ICE is trying to do their job here.
But they're not. All they're doing is racially profiling and harassing people who haven't committed any crimes. These people are contributing to our community. I wish undocumented people could disappear for one day so people like you would be brought to your knees begging them to come back because our economy would crater.
Well, I don't know why
Not
you even
just our
have to. I mean, you don't
economy,
have to
our
imagine that Trump
population would
already
crater.
did that with the
We
farmer
need
people, right?
immigrants.
Saying that he wasn't going to enforce the deportations as much on farmland because the farmers were complaining about losing
Yeah,
workers.
you know, Trump is backing off his policies. He's told members of Congress, no more mass deportation. We're not doing that anymore.
Because probably his billionaire buddies are losing money. Let's
Right,
say
so
it
he's full of
together.
shit.
Trump's awful in this category. I don't disagree. Like when you
like
attack me on these
theatrics.
things, you
You
think
like
I'm
this
going
episode
to
of Cops.
defend him.
This is just an episode of Cops with ICE that you are enjoying watching brown people get beat up. That's it,
Absolutely
man.
not. Just because of the color of my skin is white, don't assume that that's what I
No,
enjoy.
brown people can enjoy watching brown people get beat up too. I don't know about
Hey,
your skin color.
I mean,
but the point is, this is just a theatrics. It's theater. It's not really accomplishing anything.
There's a lot of theater. You're right about that. And this is theater as well.
Sure, but this is an entertaining way to give people like you the real
Just
facts
like
since you're
all
inundated
theater.
with misinformation.
Well, and also to
Just
be
like
clear,
all
it's
theater.
only theater because you can't engage with anything that's being said. This is like the podcast brain.
Because you're
right?
always right. It's
no,
as simple as that.
Hold on. If we have two completely contrary opinions on a thing, you understand that sometimes there can be like an invalid perspective, like it doesn't have a good factual informing.
Sure.
Right. So if one of us is saying that Trump has failed doing anything like of substance on the border, the only thing he did was he EO'd it closed. He's not doing anything about visa overstayers here. All of his other enforcement using ICE seems to be turning Americans against like further immigration enforcement. Like it seems
I'm being kicked out.
Okay. Well,
But you
Well,
know what?
listen.
Just to finish it off, it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you, gentlemen. I mean no disrespect at all. I wasn't even going to come to the mic. Blame that guy right there.
I applaud you for that. And you're my fellow American. I love you. I want you to be back in the Democratic Party.
And that's the most important thing that we've said here today. I'm a fellow American. You're a fellow American. We should all be kind of being a little bit, toning it down a little bit. So thank you two gentlemen. It's difficult to be here. It's difficult for me to be here. Thank you as well. Thank you. And
All
have a
right,
lovely
thank
day.
you.
All right, I'm not a conservative either, and I agree with your Trump points, but I just wanted to know your opinion. You mentioned that you wanna focus on like foreign policy and reestablishing like relations with countries that we previously had good relations with. So, what's your opinion on like our intervention with Iran and a bunch of Israeli conflicts right now? Because in Iran we had the nuclear deal under Obama, and then Trump was the one who got rid of it. So I agree that Trump's terrible for that too. But I feel like the biggest problem is foreign intervention, especially with a lot of what we're funding for military backing in Israeli conflicts and the Middle East. And I feel like we should pull away from that. So what's your opinions on that?
Are you asking all three of us or just him?
Anybody.
Yeah, Israel. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just don't think we're going to be able to accomplish what we want militarily with Iran. And they're in a stronger position now where they control the Strait of Hormuz. They can cut off 20% of the world's energy supply, 30% of fertilizer, key resources like helium. So, and so what have we accomplished here? I don't think there is a military solution. I think we didn't reach the end of diplomacy. We sent in Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, and they failed miserably. So
after 1 week, we decided to strike for no reason, and we sold a lie to the legislature. Donald Trump told them on March 4th, with a meeting with all the leaders of Congress, and he said that if we didn't strike, Iran would have had a nuclear bomb in 2 weeks. The intelligence doesn't support that. The international community doesn't support that. Donald Trump is an idiot. And it's important that we point out that the reason why this is happening is because Republicans are enacting their dream, and their dream sucks.
I agree. I want to hear Destiny's point too.
I would say Israel, but in a softer voice. I think the issue is that I don't ever like the idea of completely withdrawing from a region, because then you basically just leave it up to whoever's there to figure it out. And then you also create kind of this vacuum where another large player, I think China really wants to step up in the region and have more of a say. The big issue between Israel and the United States is that Netanyahu and the Israeli right are very ideologically driven, and they have an idea for what they feel like the Middle East should look like. And right now, the Conservative Party doesn't have a strong vision for what the Middle East should look like. So it's basically, it feels like it's just Donald Trump asking Netanyahu, like, "Hey, Bibi, what do you think we should do next?" And he's like, "We should do this." And Trump's like, "Okay, yeah, let's go," basically. So I mean, ideally, with the next president, like, you have to rein in that behavior pretty significantly. I think, Biden was, whether or not he did enough or didn't do enough, like, Biden was restraining Israel's behavior in terms of the way they were acting. Like, Israel was attacked when Biden was president. We didn't start bombing Iran as a result of it. But it's hard because there's two things that have to happen. One, you need a president that is willing to invest some time into understanding the region and then, like, actually trying to do something that is, like, coherent with some greater vision between the United States, between Israel, between the Gulf states, for what should happen. But then secondly, it's hard, I think, for anybody to take the U.S. seriously because we're very back and forth on how we approach the world. Like, imagine you're Europe, or imagine you're in the Middle East, or you're anybody else, and you see the United States go from Obama to Trump, and then to Biden, and then back to Trump. Like, who the knows, like, who's going to be in office, 4 years into the future? And that's a huge problem. I think we probably need to, I don't know how politically tenable it is, we probably have to get rid of the authorization for the use of military force. It's probably been, I think it's just been used too much to justify every kind of military intervention in the Middle East. And then we probably need to take a more coherent approach to the Middle East that probably involves Congress more so that we can kind of slow down our movements there. Because, yeah, it's way too much back and forth right now that's not conducive to anything positive.
So why I've seen in, like, a lot of your previous content that you've defended and you've denied the fact that there's a genocide going on in Palestine, and Israel is, like, the biggest factor because of that, and the U.S. is funding most of the IDF. So
I don't think the U.S. funds most of Israel's military. I don't think that's true.
Okay.
That's absolutely not true. So, I don't like the term genocide because it's thought terminating and because it doesn't leave you with many options for how to deal with, actually what's going on. And I also think the term genocide is deeply unserious applied to that region if it's only going to be applied to Israel and not to anything that's happening with Yemen, not to anything that was happening with Hezbollah, not to anything that was happening between Iraq and Iran. Like, there's so many different conflicts in that region that involve so much more death. Not to say it's good, obviously, I don't know how many tens of thousands now that we're up to for Palestinians that were killed. I think that when I come off as being pro-Israel, if I'm arguing with a lot of pro-Palestinian defenders, it's because it seems like there's this idea that the end result of any moral policy for Israel is just the dissolving of that state. And I feel like whatever future is beyond that door would not be a good one for a huge number of people involved. But I mean, like, I don't support how far right, how crazy, like, ultra-Zionist a lot of that regime is now in terms of them capitalizing on every single mistake that's being made in that region in order to further their own agenda. But I guess, like, the big concern I have when people who are on this, like, they're an apartheid genocidal state, when they engage in this rhetoric over and over and over again, and then you get some people who are really extreme, who are even supportive of, like, the Houthis or Hezbollah or Hamas, they create this unrealistic environment where there's no off-ramp for anybody. There's no reasonable talks of, like, how do we settle anything? And in an environment where there is chaos, Israel will thrive if nobody else has any other vision. So off of the backs of the October 7th attacks and the whole world condemning the hell out of Israel, like, what did the Palestinians or anybody else get for it? Hamas is gone. The Palestinian Authority is crippled. You've got Hezbollah is gone. Nasrallah was killed. The Houthis are, who knows what they're doing right now. Iran, now all of their leadership is dead. Assad is gone in Syria. Israel's bombing Beirut, in Lebanon now.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand all of that, but you're saying October 7th as if this was the start of Israel's conflict in the Middle East, and it's not true, because Palestine has been being diminished and being held in apartheid for the past 70 years, and I believe that Israel is the starter.
Wait, why
of
the past 70 years?
In the past 7 years, because ever since Israel was established as a state, Palestinians have been losing their homes. They've been.
What about when Jordan controlled the West Bank, or what about when Egypt controlled the Gaza Strip?
I'm not saying that it's just Israel, but I'm saying that Israel has been the biggest factor in the apartheid and the oppression of Palestinian people over the past 70 years. And I believe that you can't defend or deny the fact that it's a genocide going on when their people, especially at Gaza Strip, have been completely wiped out almost entirely. Their neighborhoods are gone.
Sure, I guess if that's your perspective, what do you think is, like, a reasonable step forward? Like, what is, like how do you resolve, like, do you think, like, a two-state solution is ethical, or do you think that the whole state of Israel just needs to be a single state, one person, one vote, 30%?
I think it begins with Israel and America entirely stopping their intervention in countries like Palestine and allowing for them to survive, because Palestine has not been given the chance to survive, and October 7th has been an excuse to continue their agenda. And it was not covered by the media before, and ever since October 7th, it was just.
Well, we've been covering. Well, the media's been covering Israel-Palestine for decades, right?
It has, but it was never covered for the youth, and at the extent that it was now, the awareness is at the all-time highs. There's been a turning point in
Sure,
U.S.
I agree. There's
favorability
been maybe more, yeah, but like
for pro-Palestine.
What is like the step forward right now if we think that Israel is like a genocidal apartheid state?
The solution is for them and America to stop their funding into Middle Eastern invasions. Like, they've been involved in Libya, they were involved in Afghanistan, they were involved in Iraq. They've been involved in the Palestinian genocide. Whether you want to think that it's direct funding or not, they are indirectly involved as well.
Let's say the U.S. cuts ties with Israel and we stop financially supporting them completely, and Israel carries on. What do we do at that point?
Then we should ideally support the side that's being oppressed. We should support Palestine in gaining their land back and at least doing what's right for those people to live innocent lives,
so if we,
instead of just allowing them to die every single day.
So then let's follow this through. So then let's say we stop supporting Israel, we start funding, whatever Palestinian surrounding Arabs, and then they manage to take back the country. I imagine there would be a mass something with the Jewish people there, whether we call it a ethnic cleansing or mass killing or mass expulsion or whatever. Would that be like acceptable?
Why do you think that's the case? Because Israel's doing that to Palestine?
No, because that has been the case for every single Jew in the region historically, and it would likely be the case if they were to be made a minority.
It is the case that Israel is the only place that has it's the only ethno state in the region.
That's not true at all. That's absolutely not true.
There's no in Palestine before. In like the past few decades, Palestine had people of multiple religions existing, like coexisting perfectly.
I don't think that's generally true.
I do believe it's true because there's many Christian Palestinians, there's many Muslim Palestinians.
The vast majority of them are Muslims.
The
but I'm saying the surrounding states, like there are states that have it, like some of the Gulf states do. Pakistan, like it's built in that they're like ethno states, but there aren't enough people moving to these places to threaten their ethnicity. It's just not a concern that they have.
Exactly. How's it going? Okay.
Oh, are we wrapping up?
I guess so. Yep.
Okay. I appreciate the perspective. I think the only reason why I just don't like necessarily the genocide dialogue is because like I think that this path towards like we have to abolish basically the state of Israel, like it's such an unrealistic thing that I think that it's kept any actual progress in this region from being made because the Palestinians always feel like there's some magical solution right around the corner that's never coming, and the Israelis are happy to maintain the status quo because all they do is continue to encroach into the West Bank, and now they've managed to kill so many of their enemies in the area that I feel like that the unrealistic hyping up of like the Palestinian expectations is just not serving anybody well, and there doesn't seem to be anybody putting forth any actual solution to what's going on in the area. I guess
it's more just a humanitarian response. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
I
appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much, everyone. Round of applause.
Destiny, in the past, you've said you were a rational egoist. Do you still hold that position?
Yeah, I guess, but this is philosophy slap.
Yeah. So you believe that morality ultimately stems from you, and then extrinsically you value other people.
Sure.
I want to like present some objections that I think, like for instance, it's questionable how you care about long-term problems like climate change if it is the case that you broadly benefit from like burning fossil fuels, because that's generally going to help you in your lifetime. Secondly, how do you care about people who are generally not helpful to your own personal well-being, such as people who are drains on the welfare state, or people who are on the other side of the world. Maybe they're part of a country that is malaligned to yours, so say China. Why do you care about, let's say, famine relief in countries nearby China or that are aligned to China? And then thirdly, it's not clear that personal identity is privileged, and then we can get into that. But of those three,
like on a very broad level, I feel like because we're so interconnected, as a global society, whatever you want to call it, it seems to be the case that any problem that one country has is going to spill over to another problem. Our financial markets are connected. So in 2007, we saw a huge spillover into everything. When the global financial crisis happened because of the mortgage-backed security CDO thing in the United States for the housing stuff. When COVID obviously happened in China, that spread to the rest of the world, and we all had to deal with coronavirus. So to some extent, we're all kind of incentivized on a very selfish level to be stewards of ourselves and the countries and the people around us. And then, like, on a very direct, obvious level, right? We were just talking about illegal immigration. You know, there's a reason why more comes from the south than from the north, just because of the stability of the respective countries. So in that sense, yeah. And then on a second sense, I feel like when you talk about any kind of like system of like morals or values or principles, it's pretty hard, or I'm not aware of any successful ways to argue for like different systems for different people, like on a very fundamental level. Like you can nibble around the edges when it comes to different countries might have rules about like taxes or maybe even some kind of moral issues like gay marriage or abortion or something like that. But when it comes to like murdering or stealing or these like obviously like horrible things, it seems like all of us socially agree that these are things that none of us should want to do to each other, that nobody should support, you know, with themselves or with neighboring countries. And I think the whole world is kind of like moved in that direction, and it seems to be pretty beneficial for everybody. So I guess like broadly, that's where my mind is when I look at stuff like that.
But there seems to be a disconnect between morality just fundamentally stems from me, and then everybody else only matters insofar as I'm benefited from it. And secondly, that like we have the perfect universal, we care about all people, we become a utilitarian as a consequence of that. It just seems like, okay, so you can draw the broad strokes. Generally, like having some rights for people makes it so that your life is better. That seems plausible. But there's some people in society who are probably going to be a drain, who, under your philosophical worldview, probably wouldn't be good for you.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you were to start like people are a thing that you deal with in kind. That's why I said everything has to be universal. Like you can't pick like individual people, because I think it would start to affect people. Like if you were to fall into that class or category of people, are you no longer going to be protected by society or whatever, right? Like we don't kill all old people, even if they're a drain on our healthcare and our housing markets, because we know that one day we're going to become old, or hopefully we will. So
sure.
Like,
I guess like we can talk about like Cambodians who, like if there's a famine in Cambodia, it seems like the people there, their labor just generally goes to China's productive welfare. Cambodia is very aligned with China. China's presumably bad for America. If China becomes a global superpower, I assume that's bad for you.
Yeah, but I think
would you then say we shouldn't give USAID to
the way that I view
Cambodia?
morality is it's descriptive more than anything else. Just in terms of this particular conversation, this is one of the reasons why I think it's important to have like incentives aligned between people, because regardless of what we might prescriptively want to assign to people, I think that people will generally follow their interests at the end of the day. So if you craft some environment where somebody can be totally self-interested and then get away with like destroying the lives of other people around them, I think there's a big fear that might be the path that they progress towards. So rather than just assuming that like like having like the UN and having USAID and kind of having these commitments of countries to take asylum seekers and everything else, like I think these are good things because they kind of create this incentive for every country to do something to hopefully better their world and the world around them. But when I think that, if you have this conversation and if you have a country that's like has a good alignment to destroy the lives of everybody around them or their own citizens' lives, I think it's possible that you should expect them to take that route, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so two quick things. It feels like you're drawing like an is-ought gap, like the fact that we care about ourselves a lot, maybe evolutionarily, maybe because like our genes or whatever, means that's how we should develop our moral system to be that way.
When I say descriptive, I mean, it's just an is thing, is how I'm looking at it. Yeah, like I'm just saying that descriptively, like this is what happens.
But then why should you build your moral view that way?
Well, I figure prescriptively you should probably operate related to the environment in a way that's going to, I guess, like be possible. So like if I were to prescribe a moral system that you should treat everybody, as best as you can and open your wallet and you leave your door unlocked and your car door unlocked all the time, people are probably going to take advantage of that. So you have to deal with the world as it is.
Yeah, but like you live in this present moment.
Yeah.
You don't live in 100 years from now. If we just like focused on burning fossil fuels, drill, baby, drill, like that would be really good for you because there would be a huge economic boom, and then you're probably going to die and you don't face the consequences that come afterwards.
Yeah, I think climate change is definitely a difficult one. But I mean, like we can see that it's difficult, right? Like the whole world is having an issue, sometimes even confronting that it's a thing at all. I don't know. Incentivizing people to deal with like future problems seems to be very difficult. Just like on an individual level, it could be hard with problems, and then obviously socially, But
like, shouldn't that indicate that we need a better moral view? That maybe we should be like true utilitarians. We should care about everybody.
I mean, if you can get people to do it, then yeah. But I don't know if that's a possibility. I don't know if the human mind is built for something like that.
One more thing. It seems like part of this framework is that you care about your own identity. That the fact that you're you is what makes it so that you're morally privileged over everyone else. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, I think you would extend the same like moral consideration to everybody around you that you would extend to yourself to some extent. I guess it tapers off a little depending on distance. Like you'd probably save your child versus somebody else's child, or you'd save your brother versus a stranger, or you'd save an American versus a Russian. I mean,
yeah, but the egoist position is that if there's a button, and it's a decision between me living 10 minutes longer or the world blowing up, then I choose to live 10 minutes longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Right? That's the bullet you're biting? Just
what?
to be clear? Like, that's the bullet you have to bite.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well, but everybody has family and people they care about, so they wouldn't make that choice, would they?
This is philosophical. Deep,
okay.
But he's saying that he cares about himself as an ultimately privileged point for his moral view, and then his family's all extrinsic. I think that's fair.
Yeah, but we're in the deep philosophy waters here. But the idea, it's the concept is that if you don't believe in like an afterlife of any kind or whatever, and you're going to die, then whatever decision you make doesn't matter anyway. So a person on a deathbed could push a button and kill and live 10 minutes longer, but destroy all of humanity or whatever. It's not good. Don't let old people make those decisions. That's why they shouldn't be president. See, Trump could nuke everybody right now. That's how he's living.
No, but I'm saying that you're making that position. Like my position is just utilitarian. Like I think that we should care about everybody. And not blow up the world for our own self-interest to live 10 minutes longer.
Okay, that's good. I hope
but your view is that you would do that, right?
Because you're an egoist. I don't think I would personally. I would hope not to.
But then how are you an egoist?
How? Because it makes me feel good not to kill the whole world.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, have fun.
Nice.
I hope the next one is veganism, just for you, okay?
Yeah, please.
I was actually about to ask you about veganism.
No, God, please. No veganism, no abortion.
We will bully the shit out of you.
No veganism is fine. What do you think about the effective altruist movement broadly?
You know anything
the
about
what?
Effective altruism? Are you familiar?
I'm not familiar with that one.
So approximately speaking, it's sort of a consistent application of Singerian utilitarian principles that says we ought morally to care about the global poor equivalently as people closest to us, global catastrophic risks. So, for instance, nuclear war and the threat of misaligned artificial intelligence ought to be among our most important policy priorities. And so the long-term future of the human race is probably the most important, or at least among the most important objectives that we ought to be pursuing on a policy level.
Well, I mean, this is not my cup of tea, but I would just say I think you should care about people all around the world the same as the people around you, but obviously we're humans and we're going to care more about what's right in front of us. That being said, things like USAID or our soft power, helping people around the world we don't know, you can connect it to us. Everything's connected. So I think naturally we should, well, not naturally, but we should give as much priority to everybody in the world. But I understand why we don't.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so descriptively, it makes sense as like an account of human motivation. But morally, ought we care about people who are dying of famines? You know, right now, the price of saving a life from malaria is about $5,000 if you donate to the Against Malaria Foundation. And I would hope at the very least, or at least the morally ideal thing to do would be to donate large percentages of your income to human welfareistic charities to try and save these people.
I mean, you can make the case for it for sure,
yeah, sure.
And I agree. I think you'd have a valid point, but can you convince people of that in conversation? I don't know. You know.
Yeah. So I suppose on the level of practical persuasion, might there be a place in the Democratic Party for a policy that is perhaps a little bit more technocratic and a little bit more aligned towards benefiting the global poor, perhaps even at the expense of American interests, to the extent that we acknowledge that this is a massively utilitist thing to do, that they are moral equals to the people who live in the United States, and that sometimes we should sacrifice American interests for the sake of the entire world.
I think you're going to see that with the Democratic Party moving forward. I mean, the focus on USAID being defunded by Trump showed people what we're actually doing with that soft power, and every dollar we invest around the world is one less dollar we have to buy in bullets. So I think you'll be able to see Democrats make the case for that. For example, we should assist with family planning and the spreading of communicable diseases in Africa, because if it spreads over there, it can get even worse and then make its way over here and harm all of us. So I think the Democratic Party does include that to a large degree.
Yeah, I think defunding USAID was probably one of the worst things that any president has ever done. But just in terms of there's a little bit of I think an interesting premise you're sneaking into this description of USAID, which is we should do it because it benefits us in the long run.
Of course. I believe politics is selfish. I believe humans are selfish, and you have to tap into that selfishness. Nobody gives a shit about anybody. Nobody cares about homeless people. Nobody cares about kids in Africa. They pretend they do. Oh, I really care. They don't know them. They don't see them. They don't care.
Do you think
you have to appeal to people's selfishness. This is how it affects you, and this is why you should give a damn.
As an account of human psychology, I'm not sure this is true. Would you agree that the majority of people in the world are religious?
I really depends on what you mean by that.
So the
like they might say they're religious, but do they live the values? I think I broadly agree with what Guy is saying. I think to nuance it a little bit more, it's not so much that we don't care about other people. It's that the further those people are away from us, the less we're willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like I think that if you're probably more willing to give a $10 bill to a homeless person in front of you than to put $10 in an envelope and ship it to another country. I like effective altruism as kind of like a lens to analyze things through. I think you gave an account of effective altruism earlier. My understanding is effective altruism is basically saying that like there are some dollar amounts that we can spend towards things that are highly effective when it comes to preserving or increasing the goodness of like some human life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Malaria and mosquitoes are the things that EA people used to love talking about. I'm sure I don't know what it is now.
It's still we give a lot of money to the Against Malaria Foundation. AI X Risk is another.
Gotcha. I think it's good to look at that sometimes because I think sometimes we get fixated on kind of like silly things where we're spending an inordinate amount of money for something that won't benefit that many people, and sometimes it's good to take a broader look socially at times, but then there are also times where it's good to take a more narrow view of things. I think like you can look at pharmaceuticals, for instance. Like I don't know how an effective altruist would feel about this, but like I feel like from a utilitarianist perspective, we have like what they would consider like an immoral special drugs program where there is like special funding and rewards and bounties for pharmaceutical companies that research
for rare
cure
diseases.
For rare diseases. And you could argue, well, that's kind of ineffective altruism because you're putting a lot of money towards particular things. But like there's like value in a lot of different things. I think you mentioned Singer, right? Singer was the one who wrote the essay on sometimes you just have to buy a cup of coffee, right?
That was a reply to Singer. Singer was the one who was the original drowning child thought experiment. Like
Singer didn't write the sometimes you should have a cup of coffee, or
no? It's a famous.
Singer says you should give your pants to the child every single time.
Yes,
that's a lot of pants. Interesting.
That is true. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like you have to get people motivated to care about a thing, and then that's part of the nearness to you, the nearness to your ideology. I don't think you're ever going to be in a world where people are willing to make significant sacrifices at home for people that live in other countries. As sad as that is, it's just not the case. But yeah.
I mean, again, like maybe this is just the political reality, and maybe this is true as an account of human motivation. But I would hope at the very least that some version of the Democratic Party in the future, even if it's only behind closed doors at the technocratic level, says that ultimately we are all moral equals regardless of arbitrary national identities or things like that. And so consequently, the life of someone in Kenya is no less valuable than the life of an American citizen. And our policy priorities, at least to some extent, ought to reflect that, even if they're constrained by tangible political realities, which obviously mean we can't pursue the maximalist utilitarian version of that policy.
Okay. Well, thank you for the perspective.
Thank you very much.
Listen, earlier, I think you were greatly minimizing what Donald Trump was doing in an effort to paint both parties as being somewhat similar, but they're not. Are you aware of everything that happened in Operation Metro Surge?
I mean, I wasn't there, so I would never be able to tell you that.
Yeah, I know. So there's a case.
What were you there?
I don't have to be. There's a case.
So you were not aware of everything as well. Continue, please.
Yeah, that's why there's court documents. You recognize that, right?
Court documents are only part of the story. So continue.
You can't lie. You know that, right?
No,
I know Trump does that and he treats the judiciary like a big old theater, but real normal people don't do so. Okay?
Okay.
So advocacy for human rights and LHM versus DHS, kind of messed up on the name for the advocacy org, but you get what I'm trying to say. They are currently pushing for essentially all of this to be revealed and for there to be a TRO. There was successfully a TRO February 12th of this year. They have deprived thousands of people of their rights. There's a person that's referred to as LHM, a pseudonym in the case. She had a prior brain surgery. She was slammed into the wall while being admitted. That doesn't happen under Joe Biden. And I know, listen, I'm being a little confrontational, but people need to realize that what's happening right now has never happened before. This is an unprecedented level of violations. Bar none. Nobody's ever done it. You understand that, right?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course, King.
So if And First Amendment right, fantastic right.
Not
We
just
never
that.
want it, just First Amendment right, fantastic right. It's a lot of different things, the First Amendment, but the freedom to protest is one of them. It's a fantastic right, should never be taken away. That's why we don't have a king. That's why we are the representative democracy we are.
Are we?
So
Are we operating as one right now?
My question is, and I'm not saying we take away the right, so I just want to make sure we're clear. But if, let's just say Minnesota, and if the law enforcement officers were there to do what their job title says to do, and there were not people blocking the street, and there were not people screaming as the top of their lungs, whatever they want. I'm just asking you a question. How dare I?
How dare they? How dare they scream?
I didn't say that. My first thing that I said is it's a right. It's an important right. It should never be taken away. I'm asking a question, though. If none of those people were there, and the ICE officers were doing the same thing that they were doing, whether it was to get a child rapist, not all of them are child rapists, but some of them on the list
these
were.
are the lies.
Wait, let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Hang on. Let me finish the question.
Go for it, King.
They're also to get the guy who's been here for 20 years and done nothing wrong.
He was such a bad guy, He was such a bad guy.
Didn't say that. You did.
He was the baddest guy.
So, I mean, okay. They're there to get certain people. But if none of those people were there, would anybody have died?
If Donald Trump wasn't born,
That's
he
not
wouldn't have
my
assaulted
question.
E. Jean Carroll.
That's
He
not
wouldn't have
my question. I'm
discriminated
just
against
asking
black
you to
applicants
answer my
at any of his
question.
properties. He wouldn't have tried to overthrow the government. This is not what we think about. We live in reality.
you're over
and the
here,
reality
and I'm
is
asking this
that
simple
immigration and
question.
customs enforcement has deprived people of life and liberty, the principles that we stand on, and you are minimizing it, and that's not okay.
It's not a minimization. It's
it
a
is
simple
a minimization.
question.
You
that
are
not
shifting. You are shifting
answering.
the onus from the government to the people.
It's
this
a
is a country
simple
for
question,
the
sir.
people. The government derives its power from the consent of the governed. Do you recognize that? So whenever something wrong happens, the first person you look towards is the officer who shot an innocent man in the back 5 times while he was just recording. Who you look at is the people running the Whipple detention facility who are depriving people of access to counsel,
Let me
who
ask
don't
you
have
a
any
question.
access to the outside world.
I'll ask you a second question. Maybe you're going to answer
one
the
final
second
point.
one.
I need you to address what I just said. Did
I
Joe
would love
Biden
you
do
to
something
answer
similar?
my question first,
Your
and then I'll
question's
address
irrelevant,
what you
sir.
said.
Your question's irrelevant.
That's beautiful, but I would love for you to answer the question.
It's beautiful. Okay.
I love
wanna-
that you have an opinion of my question being irrelevant, but I asked you
Yeah,
if you
if-
would answer a question. You said yes, and you're refusing to.
Okay, sure. I'll answer the question if you promise me that you can address these things. Can you do that for me?
I would love to, but
Pinky promise.
answer the question.
Pinky promise.
I will pinky promise if
Look
you
at that,
actually
everybody.
allow
It's
me.
just pinky
If you
promise.
actually
Wow.
allow me to answer
He
the
just
question,
did that,
I would
you know,
love
just
to.
did that. Wow. Okay. Yes, if Donald Trump wasn't born, or if
Never said
if
anything
Alex
about Donald
Preddy
Trump
never
being
decided
born.
to shut, none of these things would have happened. But
Okay.
you're making
That's
it
an
seem
important fact.
No. What you're disregarding.
That is a
I'm
fact,
really-
sir.
I'm sorry. You can come in.
Hold on, let me answer your question in a certain way.
The simple question.
Your question was, if those people weren't there and those things weren't happening and ICE was just doing their job, would
Yes.
that man have lost his life?
That is the question.
Right, but here's the problem. They're not doing what you think they're doing. And those people were out there
You're still
letting
not
people
answering the
know
question.
that these people are just racially profiling. They're not arresting child rapists. That is a lie. The Minnesota Department of Correction came out and said this administration is lying about who they're arresting. Would that shock you? If I told you these guys are just out there racially profiling, harassing people, and you said, well, even if they're just here for 20 years and they didn't commit a crime, who cares?
Did you actually see the list that they're looking
I
for?
did.
The people they're looking
I did.
for? You did.
I did.
You saw
so
them.
there's a worst of the worst that they kept putting out. And Minnesota's Department of Corrections said this is a lie. They did not arrest these people. They were transferred from the Bureau of Prisons when their sentences ended. So the Trump administration is lying about what they're doing.
Par for the course. They lie
He's
like
mocking
crazy.
you right now. You
but
know
it's
that?
a simple
He's mocking
question.
You, you know. He's
Like
he's
I
beating
said,
you right now.
But you, sir, you
Very
would
good
be one of
Trump
those people
impression.
out
Very
there
good.
screaming. You would be one of those people out there screaming if you knew the truth about what was happening.
And really
That's
quick,
the real point.
Really quick. I'm sorry, I'm steamrolling you, but in reality, you're saying like really. And
I'm asking a simple
listen,
question.
a lot of people
you
are
are
saying you're a great
assuming my
guy.
question is loaded with tons of
Your
beliefs
question
and thoughts.
is
No,
meant
it's
to
not.
make it seem as if, oh well, it got riled up. It got pretty. It wasn't. They weren't able to control it. ICE is being given illegal directives. If all else was held equal, Immigration and Customs Enforcement would not be operating like it was under Joe Biden. Because under Joe Biden, they were not told to ignore the judiciary. Don't go to them for a warrant. They're just looking to higher ranking ICE officials. You recognize that, right? They're doing roving patrols. They're dominating municipal police. I recognize that you can't address my question. Or my point, sorry. I recognize you're incapable of doing so.
Anything. Because for about 5 minutes, you would not address my question.
They call that being scared.
You go to your Trump impersonation. I don't know if that's
okay. I could do without it. You don't want to address it because you know it's bad.
No, I would like to address your question. If you ask me a question, instead of giving me your opinion and thoughts in the guise of a question.
So what if I told you?
Guise means.
What if I told you?
Not quite.
I know the definition.
Okay.
What if I told you that these are just masked agents going around racially profiling, harassing people, arresting people who've done nothing, committed no crime but being in this country illegally? Those are people working for American businesses, and now they're gone. That hurts American businesses. That hurts the local community.
It does.
And it further drives up crime by pushing these guys further into the shadows because now they're scared.
100%.
How can you how can you support them?
Agree.
How can you just say I agree and then you're going to be like,
because
well, both
I can,
sides
because
are a
I
little
can do
messed
two
up,
things at once.
No, you can't do two things at once.
Can't?
If there's a dude shooting somebody and then the other guy's like, well, guys, I did promise universal health care, but I'll give you the ACA.
No, I look at the entire facts of a situation and do not make a ton of assumptions. That's what I do.
Assumptions.
When I look at a person who is jumping in the front of law enforcement,
Alex Preddy did not jump in front of law enforcement. You're lying on a dead man's name. That's pretty fucked up. For a party that believes in pro-life and the dignity of the people, Alex Preddy was an incredible individual.
It is a shame that any American is ever killed over something
as
stupid
who was responsible?
As this.
Who called him a domestic terrorist following his execution in front of America? Who did it?
Everybody in that situation is responsible, including the person who died.
Including Alex Preddy?
Absolutely.
He had his hands up with the phone in his hand. And
choices and consequences, sir.
Choices
you make a choice
of exercising
to do
your First Amendment right?
You get all crazy about the consequences that can happen. That's part of the problem of all of us.
Those consequences are illegal. They're not supposed to happen.
According to you.
Yeah, because I follow and I enjoy and I love the Constitution and the Enlightenment principles.
You just have it all. You're always right. The same
I never said that. I'm not always right. Don't get me
Party.
wrong. Guys, do you think I'm a genius? Anybody say yes or no?
No.
Exactly. I am a normal person. And a normal person that loves our country.
Understand
you know who's not normal?
Right,
the President of the United
person.
States of America.
All not always
He's far from it. Listen.
Can I ask you, what did Alex Preddy do that was wrong?
He exercised his First Amendment right.
I'll say it with you. He exercised his First Amendment. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay, but so why does he share any responsibility?
Because he chose to put himself in that situation. He should not have been killed. This should not be even a topic we're talking about.
So is
but
the Trump
if we're
administration
talking
wrong?
about how did this happen, the easy answer of preventing it was to not jump in front of law enforcement, be screaming at them.
He didn't jump in front of everybody.
We have law enforcement all
guys,
around
don't
us
startle
right now
ICE
to help
agents,
protect
guys.
us.
Don't record us.
This goes back to what I said earlier, that you are inundated with misinformation. This is not true. He didn't jump in front of anybody.
Somebody jumps in front of law enforcement.
Let me ask you this.
He's not addressing it.
Whether the warrant is valid or not. Whether their position
real quick,
is
this is a real
valid
quick
or not.
argument tactic. It's really funny that when the Democrats do something bad, it's always like there's a particular person to blame always, but whenever it's Trump, it's like, man, shit just happens. Like, I don't know, man. Like, how did they end up there? Like, what was going on? Like, man, that's pretty bad. That's like a whole bad. It's always really hilarious to me. There's never accountability. There's never accountability there, but yeah.
Anytime you put yourself, I don't know what that was about. Anytime you put yourself in the middle of a law enforcement action, you are putting yourself in danger. It doesn't matter that he's ready to go back.
Wait, would you say the same thing about Ashley Babbitt?
I'm sorry.
She was an American.
Would you say the same thing about Ashley Babbitt?
She was an American patriot.
Ashley Babbitt is the person who was shot in the Capitol who was trying to break through the windows to go and kill the lawmakers.
Miss Babbitt should not have been there trying to do that, and she put herself in that situation. It's very unfortunate.
There we go. Okay.
No, you're acting like I'm not going to be consistent.
Wait, you agree that it was morally wrong that the president paid out that family then for a wrongful death lawsuit, right? They gave him millions of dollars for that.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
That Trump paid out that family millions of dollars with his Department of Justice for a wrongful death
Well,
lawsuit.
if he was consistent, he would pay out the families of the 2 that died in Minnesota.
I agree, 100%.
Absolutely. Again, you're trying to catch me on something that is not there. It's
not
I look
there.
at this from all different perspectives, which is my disillusionment of the Democratic Party. I know you're so passionate, sir, and your passion is amazing. When
It's
I
not
was
just
your
passion.
age-
I cited a
when
court
I was
case.
your
I gave
age,
you evidence.
I was just
no,
as passionate
no, you weren't.
as you.
No, you weren't. You're probably like
Okay.
doing something completely different.
Because you know everything about me.
When
Of
did I
course
say
you don't.
that?
You're telling me a fact when you know nothing about me. So think about this and remember this going
Didn't
forward.
you just say that when you were my age, you were just like me?
Because I see
you
your
don't know
passion,
me.
sir.
Yeah.
Are you not passionate?
And don't you think it's well placed? Don't you think I'm right to be upset that the
You're
president
right
of
to
the
be
United
upset.
States is violating the Constitution and killing American citizens, and people like you
That's
are
where you
indifferent?
lost me. That's where you lost me. You are already judge, jury, and executioner. He is violating the Constitution.
Oh, yeah, guys.
Do you
Alex
have
Preddy
a law
was
degree?
lawfully,
Are you a
executed
judge
in public.
Are you even able to make that determination based
If
on your
I'm
education?
incapable of speaking to the actions of the president or criticizing him, why are any of us here? It's almost
You're here because
it's
of your
almost
passion.
as if
And that's what I see.
I'm here because
and I'm
I have the
praising you
right
for
and
it.
the ability to speak on it. And listen, I know you're praising me a lot, but I have one criticism. You need to address my points.
Please.
Okay.
But let me actually answer your point instead of interrupting me. So go.
Okay. You recognize that Operation Metro Surge, which happened in response to a Nick Shirley video, right, was insane, illegal, and a lot of people's rights were violated.
Is Nick Shirley the one who exposed all the fraud in Minnesota?
The fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah.
I'm
he
asking,
came to
I'm
daycares
trying to
asking for
understand who
children.
you're talking about. I don't have the name off of my wheelhouse.
No, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I know I've been somewhat confrontational, but I mean,
I'm asking you just so I can answer the question so I know what we're talking about. Is he the person who's trying to expose the fraud in Minnesota and California and various states? Is that what you're talking about?
yes, he was the guy showing up to daycares
Yes,
asking to
okay,
record
I know who
children.
you're talking about.
He was the guy trying to record children. Yeah.
All right, so please ask your question again.
So the administration deployed thousands of federal agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, 7 times the size of the municipal police department to do roving patrols, to crowd control, to violate individuals' rights. That's what happened.
Okay, so what's the question?
How do you feel about that?
I think it's a misuse of federal dollars.
Who's responsible?
For?
That.
The president.
Okay.
Because he's the one who ordered the people to be there. It's a misuse of federal dollars.
It's just a misuse of federal dollars? It's not a brazen violation of people's civil liberties?
You got to be more specific. What exactly? Did somebody,
Alex
did a
Preddy,
law
Renee
enforcement
Good,
officer storm into somebody's house without
the
a
Whipple
warrant?
Immigration Detention Center. It's
Sorry?
ICE policy to violate the Fourth Amendment. You know this. Have you seen the Todd Lyons memo?
I'm still trying to understand the question. Are you asking the civil liberties, violating civil liberties? I know you look that way and that way, but you want me to answer your question.
Here,
if you're
let me
not,
ask you.
if I don't understand
You know,
your question,
maybe
one
listen.
possibility is that you're not asking it right.
But
So let's
see,
try
but-
it one more time.
Okay, go ahead. Try one more time.
You got it.
Okay, let me ask you, sir. If your community was being harassed by federal agents, would you not go out and protest and blow a whistle and do what you could to prevent them from doing
It
that?
depends. It depends. There's a possibility I would.
Okay,
I'm not
so
going to say
why
that
does
no
Alex
in
Preddy
every
share-
situation.
Why
Sorry?
does Alex Preddy get any blame in this situation? He's doing
Again,
what you would do in this
Again,
in this
you guys are
circumstance.
hearing something that I'm not actually saying. I'm saying everybody is at fault in that situation, including. I'm not
No,
saying
this is what I
he is at
mean.
fault.
But this is the problem.
I'm not saying he's at fault for being dead. I'm saying that he made a choice that
No,
day.
it's
And
just
every
right.
choice has consequences. And whether it is Minnesota, whether it's here at UCLA, if you put yourself in front of law enforcement trying to just go home to their family
But he didn't.
and get their paycheck,
Keep on saying that
and
lie.
you
You
recognize that, right?
complain
So
about
this is
the
problem.
result,
You are misinformed.
come on.
You're
there has to be
misinformed, which
some
I'm-
responsibility.
He's not
I-
misinformed. We told him like a million times
So,
what actually happened. You're
anyway.
repeating the exact same thing over and over again.
All right. So once again, there's no disrespect to you. We obviously are not going to agree on everything,
Yes.
but I bet you we agree on a lot more than.
And that's
either
why
of
you
us
need to
think.
vote blue, liberal.
We're
gonna win you
know
back.
what?
I know it.
Sometimes I will vote blue. Other times I'm parched. I need some water.
No, it's okay. No worries.
Other times
wow.
I will vote red because just because of it's a party doesn't get my automatic vote. So
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
That's fair.
Totally reasonable. Thank
We-
you. Round of
we-
applause, everybody.
We love you.
How close do I stand? Is this good? Hello.
How's it going?
I got one quick question. Are you willing to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no room, no room for
Wow.
political violence. Even if I hated the guy, I thought he was a racist piece of shit. I don't think he deserves to get killed because it chills political speech.
I have a question for you. Are you going to condemn the president's reaction to the death of Rob Mueller?
Can I continue my line of
sorry.
following the question?
sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm up here to debate with you, and I want to.
No, it's okay. I'm a little. Yeah, my bad.
So you're sitting next to a guy, Destiny, who refused to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk on Piers Morgan Uncensored. So you sit up here and you claim this moral high ground, but yet you're a co-conspirator of a guy who's literally
I'm a co-conspirator.
Gone on live.
This is my. Hold on.
I'm proud to sit next to Destiny. He has his opinion, and I have mine.
So when you criticize Trump for allowing ICE to kill these people, how are you supposed to sit next to a guy who?
I know you think you're making a great point. Charlie Kirk should not have died. And I'm not going to say...
And Destiny doesn't believe that. So
I'm not Destiny. I am my own person.
But you're associating with him. You're sitting up there on that table with him.
Yeah.
So how are you...
Does Destiny support the death of Charlie Kirk? Can we get Destiny's opinion on it?
You refuse to condemn it. I don't know. That's kind of suspicious.
Well, I do. I think... Listen.
So you can associate with this guy and you claim moral high ground.
I don't think he openly says that death of Charlie Kirk was a good thing.
He
doesn't support it.
So why doesn't he condemn it?
Because he thinks it's a game that's being played, that we need to condemn this, but yet nobody condemns Trump's rhetoric. And when he says these nasty things, and yet Destiny is forced to do so for some reason.
But Trump has never said, "Oh, this violence committed by ICE is really good. I like how he kills American citizens."
Yeah,
good
he
job.
has. Hold on. He said that the death of Rob Mueller was a good thing.
I did but like.
What do you mean? Okay, that's crazy.
What?
When
did
Rob
ICE
Reiner,
show up to
when
Rob
Rob
Mueller's house,
Reiner,
knock on his door, and pull the
Rob
gun out or
Reiner-
something?
No, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'm going to go down the list, and I want you to react to this. And you're going to be like, oh, do I condemn it? Do I condemn it? Let's play this game.
I'm not Donald Trump.
When Rob...
What is this? You associate...
Yeah, I know. He's the president of the United States.
You associate with Destiny.
Did you vote? Hold on. Did you vote for Trump?
Destiny himself
Did you vote for Trump?
I haven't been able to vote yet.
Would you have voted for Trump?
Probably, yeah.
So you associate yourself with a guy who called for the death of 6 members of the legislature?
That is not comparable.
It is comparable. You support the president.
I support him with my vote. You're sitting and supporting a guy next to you who refused to condemn the murder.
I'm not voting for Destiny for president.
Wait, but hold on.
That's different.
Refusing to condemn.
Yeah, I agree. It's way worse.
What? No, you literally support a guy who refused to condemn the guy who literally spoke for people like me.
But
I don't understand.
But refusing to condemn is not the same as supporting it.
I mean,
why does he need to condemn it?
I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
Because it's a horrible act.
Hold on. I think it's a little up that Destiny can't speak on it. But
so bring him up
I'm pretty sure I saw him on Piers. He'll be up soon. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I saw him on Piers Morgan saying that the death of Charlie Kirk was bad. Anybody else? Anybody else see that? Anybody? Everybody saw that.
Okay, so then if he really thought that, then why wouldn't he go out with that? Why wouldn't he start out with that? Why would he say
because I
Trump needs to go and tell people to calm down on our side before I'll say, oh, Charlie Kirk's murder was a bad thing?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
That's stupid.
I'll tell you. The reason why, and again, I'm not speaking for him, but I'm going to make an assumption. He believes that the Republican Party does not hold themselves to the same standard that they hold Democrats. That whenever somebody dies... Oh, Republicans always go to the... Are you going to condemn this? Are you going to condemn Sheridan Gorman? Are you going to condemn Laken Riley? But whenever Donald Trump is happy that Rob Mueller is dead, whenever he claims that Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered in their home because of TDS, whenever he calls for the death of 6 members of the legislature, Republicans don't say, oh my God, that's really f***ed up for the president to be saying that. No, they say, hang them. And he reposts it on Truth Social. There's a double standard, and listen.
I never said that was a good thing. I mean, I'll condemn it. I'll condemn it right here and say, oh, it's a bad thing.
But is that disqualifying for you?
What do you mean?
For the president to openly call for the death of 6 members of the legislature, that's not something that makes you say, holy f***, I could never support this guy.
Do you take everything Trump says on Truth Social seriously?
Yes, he's the president.
Why do you take everything Destiny says seriously then?
Because he was on live television rather than sitting on his phone.
Because Destiny's the president.
This is the president of the United States of America compared to Destiny.
Everyone sends tweets that they don't necessarily agree with.
Like, the president is saying that on live 6 member. Hold on. We have to think. The president of the United States on Truth Social said that 6 congressmen should die.
Okay, that's bad. I'll condemn it. But why are you giving an excuse for Destiny to not condemn the murder?
I'm not
Charlie
giving
Kirk?
excuses. He condemns it. I'm pretty sure.
Like a year after his initial take. I don't understand.
You hold Destiny to a higher standard than the president of the United States.
No.
You do.
I'm holding them to equal.
No, whenever it's Trump, you're like, oh yeah, whatever. It's kind of fucked up. But when it's Destiny, you're like,
I've every act of violence that you have professed. That is completely different. I've condemned every single example that you've provided me about Donald Trump's.
Hold on.
Whoa.
If Joe... Bro, I'm like, are you serious? You're literally trembling, dude. Lock in.
Yeah,
but listen.
Because I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous.
It's okay. I understand. Listen, let me not be
That means you
disrespectful.
care.
He seems like
care.
a nice guy, you know. He seems like a really nice guy. That's what they're saying.
I'm just passionate like you guys.
Fair
and
enough.
that's great. The president of the United States is calling for the death of 6 members of the legislature that oppose him. You recognize the magnitude of that, right?
But, okay, I condemn it, but what am I supposed to do?
That should no condemnation. That should be disqualifying.
Look,
he should be ousted.
To me, sure, but what does that mean to me to disqualify the president? I'm one person. Where Destiny is someone who relies on Twitch donors.
You need to appreciate your civic duty more than you do now. You're not just one person. You're an American who plays a significant role in steering policy in this country. Everybody here should cherish that civic duty and live by it. It's not a privilege. It's not something that you can be like, oh, whatever. What does my opinion matter? Your opinion matters because they get their power from you. Your voice does matter.
Right.
Well, hold on. He's here. Let him answer. He's here.
Hey, Destiny.
He said that you're a piece of shit and that you...
Why
am I so mad?
Why did you not condemn Charlie Kirk's death at the time?
I did. I said it's bad. You shouldn't be killing people for political reasons.
That's not what you said on Piers Morgan.
What did I say?
You said, I will not condemn Charlie Kirk's death until Trump says that people need to calm down.
You know that there were 2 times on that panel where I said political violence is bad and nobody should be committing political violence, right?
You never condemned specifically Charlie Kirk's murder.
I certainly did.
No,
you literally have only seen the 20-second clips on whatever. But like my issue is that my issue.
So when I quoted you, was I quoting someone else? I'm confused.
Do you think a 20-second quote can encapsulate the entire meaning of a thing a person said, or?
I think it can provide insight.
I guess when you have a president who can only think in 20-word sentences or 20-word thoughts, maybe that's the case.
Are you talking about Biden? Are you talking about Biden? I'm sorry.
Are we talking about Biden?
Yeah, I mean, all he could ever get out.
You want to compare gaps between Biden and Trump right now? Trump was running the largest racket in the world with either his crypto scheme or holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage and telling the European allies that he burned, that he said we don't need these guys for anything, and now he's crying because they won't show up to help him and bail him out of the stupid war that he started because Netanyahu told him it'd be a great idea and he was too stupid to realize how bad of an idea it was. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'll disagree with that.
Like what I mean, like we've got the Biden that created millions of jobs, and then we've got the Trump that created tariffs that he's waffled on continuously for the past year. Like you want to talk about evidence for senility? Like Donald Trump literally comes across as a guy who doesn't know where he is half the time.
Biden sleeps through half of his presidency.
Donald Trump is literally on camera sleeping. On camera sleeping.
So was Biden. So
no, I don't think he was. I don't believe he was. Biden could at least explain the executive orders he signed. How would you feel if an executive order was brought to Biden and it was explained to him what it was?
The auto pen doesn't count.
What?
Sorry. The auto pen doesn't count.
The auto pen? You know they dropped that investigation because it was complete and total, right? Do you acknowledge that you are to believe that Biden was signing an executive order via auto pen? Do you have that wherewithal that you are so propagandized? You think the president of the United States was signing executive orders with auto pen?
I mean, members of his security team even account him getting lost in his own wardrobe. So I mean, I wouldn't.
Hey, maybe the motherfucker has a lot of clothes. Okay, listen, Donald Trump probably couldn't even fit into his own wardrobe. He barely fits into the suits that he wears. He's got that awkward front lean all the time. Listen,
wow, I thought you were liberal. You're fat shaming. Wow.
What?
That's a new low.
I'm not fat shaming. I'm just Trump shaming because I hate the motherfucker. Okay. No, I mean, like, I think that there's a huge issue, and I think there's an argument to be made that it's not necessarily the morally correct choice when Democrats are brought up over and over again and they're told to disavow, 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 disavow. Meanwhile, Republicans get so unbelievably horny every time there's a new assassination, a new killing, a new bombing, a new attack because it gives them the justification to expand ICE, to expand whatever anti-terrorism stuff they do, to go to war with a new country somewhere. Like, Republicans see enemies behind every corner. We had Haitians eating cats and dogs. We learned out of nowhere that MS-13 and Tren de Aragua were the largest threats to the entire United States, and you guys were in lockstep behind it, even though you guys didn't even know what these things were 2 days before Trump said it. We're hearing this 47 years of war with Iran. I'm just trying to say that when Donald Trump has some of the most divisive, most violent, most over-the-top, most corrosive rhetoric of all time, and then you guys see a dude like me on YouTube, who, by the way, is more at risk of getting killed by any crazy shooter than any of these other conservative losers on Twitter all day. And you're like, why didn't you disavow hard enough?
Nick Fuentes.
What about Nick Fuentes? He doesn't go out anymore,
Fuck
does he?
Nick Fuentes.
Ooh.
Fuentes, right? How do we feel about Nick Fuentes?
You're such a big man.
But like Fuentes Fuentes had a guy literally show up to his house. I doubt he appreciated that, right? Shouldn't the president of the United States have like a moral compulsion to tell the whole country that they need to be less violent?
I mean,
wait. Hold on, wait. Do you understand? Hold on. No, wait.
He did that.
The fact that this is the easiest GED question in the universe. You're at UCLA, right?
Provide a point. This is your debate topic and your debate tactic, where you literally just talk super fast and don't let anyone say anything.
I'll slow down
like
for you.
Right
My bad. Okay. Shouldn't the president of the United States be like? There should be a moral compulsion for him to disavow violence in the United States.
That's what he did in January 6th. So.
No, he didn't. That was a good troll, though. Epic. Good rage bait.
You need to fight like hell. You're not going to have a country anymore.
Good rage bait. Good rage bait. Good rage bait. It is funny, though, that it's indistinguishable from ordinary conservative messaging because the entire conservative party is literally just rage bait these days.
We just tell a lot of jokes. We have humor.
You want to hear a really good joke? No new wars, right? The president of no new wars. You want to hear another good joke? What was it? 0 illegal immigrants over the past year? Another good joke. We're bringing back manufacturing. What's another good joke? In and out of Iran in a couple days. What's another good joke? 100 deals in 100 days. That was pretty funny, right?
$18 trillion in investments.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Doge was going to find $2 trillion. Like that was a good joke. Yeah, I don't.
But listen, don't you appreciate that Destiny was putting a mirror up to the right and saying, you guys always mock any violence against the left. So in this moment, I'm not going to condemn what happened to Charlie Kirk until our president condemns violence.
Amazing position. Amen.
What is your problem with that? Why do you have such an issue with that?
Okay, so we both have issues. I that's all I'm hearing.
Okay, so his role as a figure in the media is to shine a light on the problems with our leaders, and that's what he was doing in that moment.
But we're not the same. You're claiming moral high ground by talking to people like me who come up here and talk about ICE, and you're saying, oh, Trump is killing people. Oh, ICE sucks because they kill people on purpose. That's the difference between you and me. So
wait, what's that? Yeah, we think that these are immoral things, so that would put us on a moral high ground for
that. Is the difference.
We think it's a morally superior position, of course.
But you've had morally inferior positions yourself.
I remember when Destiny showed up at the Ellipse and he called for everybody to go to the Capitol and riot and kill the vice president. Yeah, I remember that.
Do you think Destiny actually supports what happened to Charlie Kirk?
His refusal to condemn it is.
He just told you to. He's right there. He's not a hologram. He's sitting right there. He told you it was wrong.
And that's not what he said. No.
He just said it.
Not on my television.
He's
not
clarifying. He's clarifying.
I provided you a quoted statement from his position on Piers Morgan. Do you think I'm making that up?
Well, but he just said that was part of like an hour-long interview, and he said something else later on, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I said 2 or 3 times in that conversation that there should be no political violence in the United States. It's not good. Like that should never be happening.
I agree,
you know who hasn't said that?
No,
Donald Trump.
I'm not Donald Trump, so I don't care.
I didn't say you were Donald Trump. You're not Stephen Bunnell either, but you're telling me what to say, right?
You recognize that you're.
I'm quoting you. I'm not telling you what to say. I quoted you.
You recognize that. What does that matter to me? You support the guy. You're associated with him. Earlier, you came up and you put me on the same level as this psychopath that called for the death of Charlie Kirk, and you're like, oh, how could you be up here with the like moral grandstanding? You are voting for that dude to be president.
I've never voted for him.
You said you'd support him. You know what I mean when I say that.
Oh, actually, I follow Nick Fuentes, so I might vote blue.
Oh, yeah, much better.
I might vote blue. I might vote blue. You never know. He's saying we should vote blue.
So if the election were tomorrow, Democrat versus Republican, how you voting?
I'd have to think about that.
Bro. Oh, come on. So man.
Why are you a Groiper?
Why are you following a 27-year-old virgin?
What?
Shit, that lives in his home. Yeah, he rots in his home all day, and he poisons like the minds of young men like you. It's pretty fucked up.
Oh wow, that's a upfront attack. Okay, I thought you had a moral high ground.
We do not claim.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I have a moral high ground because I'm calling out a Nazi.
What's the title of this tour? The
Unfuck America Tour.
That seems like a pretty high moral ground.
It's the Unfuck America Tour.
So you're cleansing America? Is that what you're doing? Because that's what the title implies.
No, because so basically Donald Trump is America and we're unfucking America. You know.
So yeah, you have the moral high ground.
Yeah,
you just admitted.
Y'all need to get more engaged. Come on.
You just admitted to claiming that you have the moral high ground over conservatives.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Not every conservative. That's not true. Listen, hold on. I want everybody to know my position because I don't think I made it clear. My issue is not with the average voter. I'm not calling for the death or the persecution of a guy that voted for Trump because he wants cheap gas. No, that's not my problem. My problem lies with the administration, with the liars and the abusers who have deprived the hungry of food, the sick of care, and have sold the American people out to the highest bidder. That's my problem.
Yeah, that's a fair position. Thank you for clarifying.
I just want to say, I don't have a problem with anybody who voted for Trump or supports Trump. I think most people are doing so based off lies, misinformation, and so I have no problem with you. I think you're probably a great guy.
I try to be. Thank you.
He's the best guy.
But I'm worried. I'm worried about you that you're flooded with misinformation and nonsense, and it's affecting your judgment and the conclusions you come to.
Weren't you the guy on Jubilee who like denied Ben Shapiro's statistics cited from the FBI, stating that there was 300,000 illegal?
What a monster!
He
what
was
a monster!
He was incorrect.
So is that fake statistics as well? When he
it
cited
is. There aren't 300,000 missing children in America.
There's a fact check on that, right? So
yeah, the fact. I'll give it to you right now. There aren't 300,000 missing children in America.
Right. It was 281,000.
No, that's not it. That also included 80,000 children missing under Trump's first term, but he conveniently left that off. But those are administratively missing children. Those are children that ICE turns over to other agencies and are concerned that they don't have any way to reach out to them. But they're not missing. They're just been released from ICE custody. So, like Ben Shapiro, you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to this talking point. So this is the misinformation that I'm talking about.
Saying that doesn't make it true, but
it is true. Go read the Inspector General's report for DHS that put that out in August 2024. It's like 5 pages long, man. It's not that hard. When you get home, I encourage you to Google that and prove me wrong.
Well, amen, brother. You got this. Amen.
Yeah, I hate to end it here. I got class. I'm already late. So
good luck. Be educated.
All right, buddy.
Round of applause for his education, at least. Can we get that? Amen. Amen.